coaching. Right? So beware of what is coming. Before you can coach others, of course, you must learn to coach yourself. Again, before you can coach others, you must learn to coach yourself. So be the example, or be the way you want people to treat you, or you want players to react. If you can't coach yourself, then what do you think you could coach? Right? This is something to think about. The presentation will try to get some insight into a few thoughts about coaching efficacy and pedagogy. It's probably the best to distinguish. Only that usually efficiency is used to describe oneself, whereas effectiveness is used to describe others' perception of coach. Please hear some reach. The partner reach some.
Pas tout. Qu'est-ce comme là?
All right, so what we're going to look at would be what is coach efficacy, coaching effectiveness, describing an effective coach, sport pedagogy, what is game-based approach, and then you have symptoms. All right, so that would be the session. Now, when we talk efficacy, so now word that we use quite regularly, okay, so efficiency a lot more. So the diagram here seeks to evoke that thought of efficacy. If we simplify it, we could say it's how successful we are with the specific objectives we have. For example, the image up there, we could say that the person shooting these arrows doesn't have much efficacy because they're unable to hit the target that they want, unless the target is strong. All right. So the ability to produce a desired or intended result. When we talk in context of a coach, is the extent to which coaches believe they have the capacity to affect the learning and performance of their athletes. Goes further and says that efficacy could be defined as a person's belief in their own capabilities to organize and execute an action. So Sammy decides to take up a specific job. It means he should have the capacity or the confidence in himself to execute. Now, whether or not he's able to do this, that's another case by itself. And that would go into speaking more now into efficacy and effectiveness. Similarly, the diagram here tries to evoke some thought as it relates to what is effectiveness. Now, based on the shape of the object, you can recognize it on the hardest to move. So which would be the best system, the best strategy, the best speed would be considered in terms of effectiveness. The perspective or the point is achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. The state that effective coaching results in either successful performance outcomes, measured either in terms of wins, loss percentage, individual player development, or success at the national or international level, or positive psychological response on the part of the athlete. So a high perceived ability. So some of the psychological sides of effectiveness would be high perceived ability, high self-esteem, intrinsic motivation, high level of sport enjoyment and satisfaction. So when we talk efficacy and effectiveness, efficacy begins with the I believe I'm able to execute the job. Efficiency then is am I actually able to execute? So it's what we can see. Efficacy may be considered something mentally. It is an abstract something. whereas effectiveness, you should be able to recognize whether the course is effective or not. So, based on our discussions we would have had earlier, we could say that the reason Mr. Murphy took up the national job because he believed that he had the capacity to take team when we were brought into. So that's the context of efficacy. Now, what we would have seen would demonstrate whether it is effective or not effective. Similarly, you look at yourself, in your head you have a training session, and your thing is, I can execute the fact that I could help these players to play out of the back. That's in your head, you plan the session, everything else. That's the level of efficacy you have. Now, in the training session, how well you're able to execute and learning takes place would then define your effectiveness. Now, here's the question. What if you think you know, but you really don't? So then, the side of efficacy is where the problem begins. But what if you know and you're unable to execute? Then the problem is now on the effectiveness of the coach. I'll pause there for any comments or any ideas that may have arisen from my thoughts a while ago. All right, so can we define effective coaching using athletes' outcome? Can you display some of this stuff? What could possibly be effective coaching when we're looking at what the player does? In your opinion, anybody? What would be effective coaching? I could start. Effective coaching would be I'm able to get the players to control and so on within one session. For you guys, can we define effective coaching using athlete outcomes? Is it possible? It is believed that effective coaching usually results in successful sporting performance outcomes or psychological response on part of the athlete. So, did we get the player to improve, whether it is technically, tactically, but also mentally, in the sense that now that they have been able to execute the skill, are they more motivated to execute the skill? Do they feel more comfortable playing the game? Similarly, it may be better to assess coaches still against the criteria of performance outcomes and psychological response, and a few others, such as, so you may want to assess the coach based on the score, which is regular. We understand this. This is quite obvious. But we could also recognize that we can also judge them based on the athlete's overall competence in the sport through various performance indicators. So, does the player know when, where, and how to throw? Does the player know when, where, and how to pass? Does the player know where they should be in specific areas? So that's how now you can then break down the key performance indicators and whether the coach is effective or not. Right? The ability of the coach to influence personal growth in the athlete. Can we recognize that players have improved mentally? Have we seen an athlete development because of what the coach is able to instill? The ability of the coach to establish a connection to the coaching process, or the athletes are connected to the process. For the athlete to become autonomous in their decision making, is it now automatic, or is it that they still can execute as quickly as they should? To be aware of how this decision making affects the context and the environment and the finance. If sport has become a medium for the athlete to develop as a force. So when we talk effectiveness of the coach and we're trying to interpret it based on the player, before we would have tried to interpret it based on the score. But if we look at it in terms of player, these are how we could then decide if the coach is effective or they're not effective. So one, the performance indicators, how are they able to execute skills? Two, the ability of the coach to influence them in terms of growth, personal growth within the game and outside of the game. The ability to establish a connection with the player in terms of coaching and teaching. The ability to recognize that the movement of the player is much more fluid and quicker, so now it's autonomous. And to be aware of has the player's decision making improved based on the context and the environment that is taking place. And obviously, do the players now see the sport or the event as a means of personal development? So if you are an effective coach, you should be able to influence the player in these particular ways and not just considering the score itself as it relates. I'll pause there again. Any other things you guys can think about? All right. So,
Ian.
Yes, please.
So, Sammy, let the run now.
Yeah. Yeah, I always like it, but you still find his way.
So, this player preseason, a player who's an athlete, not really a baller, right? I play him right back, left back, he play outside back. But preseason, people tired, so he had to move things around. So he played center back for a bit. And after the game, he told me that the rondos help him to see when he played right center back, help him to see where his right back was and the six and the right winger. The perspective he got from doing the rondo last week, because we do rondo every day the first week of preseason. Different forms, but every day for like at least 15 minutes. He said with that, he learned to see his perception improved. So that was comforting because that's not one of the better players per se, right? So it's someone with a higher ceiling, right? So just seeing that these sessions that we did in the first week were effective enough to have an effect on a player like that you're doing something right.
Right, so that would then explain the effectiveness of your session. So once that happens, then you are considered an effective coach. Right, Sammy?
Yeah.
So it's less now in the context of the score or the outcome of the score. The score may not necessarily be a true reflection of how the game went or how each particular player's performance was. But here's a question to you now, Mohan. The first game of the season, you play the same player, and you say your team loses 4-0, and he caused a couple of errors. Now, the opinion of the fans are that he played crap, but in your opinion, he did well. Why do we think this happens?
Let me start with yesterday. So that was my first scrimmage, and we lost 2-1, right? Mm-hmm. So we lost the game, but after the game, just getting feedback, and that was his feedback. So we created more chances. We missed some one-on-ones that we're not gonna miss next week. Right? We know that this week we have heavy legs. So for me, the game was a victory, right? Because first game out, you look at the positives, you look at the combination where we moved the ball, what we created, we defended well, we played a very good team. We pressed them in the corner as well, got the ball off them after the press pretty well. So we did defensively what we need to do, and with the attack, attack is harder. So we give the ball away sometimes in the build-up, in the build zone a little bit too often. But so the positives for a player like that telling me that he learned something from the game. So the score could have been 4-0. We could have lost 4-0 yesterday, right? And that player told me that same thing. And that's a positive because we created chances where we could have probably won 6-0. But then we could have lost 4-0 too, because if you're in school, you can't win. So in that game yesterday, it could have been a 4-0 loss, right? And what would I say? I don't worry about the fans. My players' development more important. So if the players if we must find the positives, we will see the negatives, we will work to eliminate that. But with the positives, you always have to kind of celebrate the positives with the players and build on that.
Did you set goals before?
Oh yes, yeah. We have goals, Sammy. What do you mean, Sammy? We have so we have targets. We have first half targets. We have a for the game for the first half, for the
The
second
only
half.
reason why I asked that, you know, because we have discussed it here already.
Yeah, no, man.
You kind of rusty. You kind of rusty. I mean, we like to hear things that we discussed before, you know.
Sammy, remember to build the team culture, you know, right? We must have goals, right?
Well, okay. In that game, well, you know what the goals are. In that game, did they satisfy any of those? Like, for example, I don't know, you know, one of the goals might be, you know, score, you know, you score in the first game or whatever, or, you know, you give up less than 3 goals or whatever. So did they accomplish any goals that you know, in that first game?
Yeah, we defended our pressing game,
right?
On our defensive game, we did very well.
Right.
The plan was to, and especially in the second half, we had halftime, we had a chance to go over it, but we found ourselves in the first half at pressing them. There are 2 center backs who could bring the ball. The right center back could bring the ball out, and so what they would do, try to get the ball to him, and he would bring the ball out because we seal everything off.
Right.
When the center back get the ball, my striker is cutting out the other center back and inviting him to dribble the ball out. Right? So because my winger outside waiting on his wing back. So we seal everything. And my 9 now is making him put him under pressure. And we did a good job at getting the ball off him and the wing back. So because the aim was when he passed the ball to the right back or left back, we coming for you. We press in the corner. We did that very well. And we created some very good chances. We just didn't finish our 1v1s and our chances. So we when we got the ball, we moved the ball and created some good chances. What we didn't do, we give the ball up, we cover it up a little bit too often, which is a first preseason game. Heavy legs, you know, you're gonna excuse that, right? So that was one of the things that I try not to get too negative about. We acknowledge it, we give the ball away, but I didn't harp on it. Okay, we're gonna improve on that, right? As a coach, you know that this didn't happen in your first game. But when we did move the ball, we created good chances, and we defended well. So we accomplished those goals, and you know, we conceded off a corner kick. We scored first. We conceded off a corner kick. Ball bounced around. We didn't clear the ball. Say we lacked desire to clear the ball. We're gonna address that. You know, that's a conversation. When the ball drops in the box, is desire. You know. And then we conceded the losing goal late. Some sloppy defending, again, heavy legs, you know. But we had chances to bury that game from first half. So we're looking at that. In terms of chances created, we're happy.
So I think you have some effective coaching going on.
So that it's a long season.
let's see how effective he is based on what continues in the program. So obviously the image here is showing Mohan is trying to water his players so that they can grow in the game and the team structure can improve and the camaraderie and the tactics and everything. That's part of it. Now, effective coaches in any context integrate 3 parts of knowledge. So it can be professional in this particular context, interpersonal. So obviously, can we develop them in the context of can they get to a perspective where they can earn from a particular skill? Do they gain knowledge about themselves and how do they function within each other, with each other? So to be effective, you have to first get them to get to a position where they recognize they can earn something from the given, whatever it is that they learn about themselves and learn about how to work with each other. Because in essence, tactics is the relationship between them. Technique will be personal. All right? Now, effective coaches in any context, because effective capacities in these areas of competence, confidence, connection, and character tailored to specific attributes of player. So again, like Mohan was saying, in terms of capacity of the player to know when and where to pass and how to look up. Now the player has confidence. Now they are connecting with the other players in terms of making the right decision. And now they are developing their character within the structure of the team. Again, composition of effective coach again must be providing them or improving them professionally, interpersonally, and interpersonally. And it varies basically on the environment. So in the case of you guys are saying in terms of school, it is how can when we say professional, how is Mohan improving this activity so that they could be better at school and they can be more efficient? Then it is how has he taught them to work with the other persons within the class or within the team, as well as has he taught the player how to learn or to understand who they are as a person and how to work with others. Now the difference now is expert coaches are able to demonstrate effective coaching on a consistent basis. It is not just one time this week, one time next week. No. Every single time we come out to screen, we have to improve professionalism, the interpersonal behavior, competence in the game, the confidence, the connection with others, and the character that we're trying to do. All right. Now, on to the next one, sports pedagogy. Have you ever heard about it? Do you know what it is? Anybody? Any context? Any ideas? Sports pedagogy. No? Alright, so let's continue. So when we talk pedagogy, we're talking the practice of developing. It is the process of developing players. All right, that's the context I want to get into. All right, how do I develop these players? What do I do to develop these players?
Teaching.
How do I develop their potential?
By teaching them.
That is the pedagogy now. How do I do? How do I teach? What is the process do I use? So when we talk pedagogy, we are saying, how do we teach kids? That's quite key because undergraduate would be how we teach adults. So obviously it's two different things. I would never have been able to teach anyone here anything unless they figured they had something to own. In their mind, they are gaining something. That's why they are able to show up. The difference between adults and children or teenagers is the process of learning is based on owning when we're talking about adults. On the other hand, kids are generally interested in learning. So as the coach, we have to consider, how do I really coach? What is my style of coaching? How am I able to impart the knowledge to the players? Question to answer. I do this. I always work with them in the session, but when they go into the games, they are unable to execute. So how many times have you heard that? It's a consistent question. So it goes back now to our pedagogy, which is how do we teach? How do we check for understanding? Are we coaching realistic to the game? In the context of when we're coaching, the speed, the size of the field, is it realistic to the game? How do I explain? How do I put them through the paces? These are the questions you're able to, should be able to answer. What pedagogy itself has been ancient, referring to the holistic development of children. Simply, so pedagogy proposes as meditating knowledge, learning culture, and identity. Four things vital for coaching to understand in their working environment. So again, so you have to first internalize it. Players must internalize it. They must get knowledge from it. There must be a specific learning culture in which and the players must be able to identify what you are trying to do or you want. So again, we had a session 2 weeks ago. The difference between knowing and understanding. So in training, if the players are able to replicate what we're able to do, it is because they know what they're supposed to. On the other hand, if they're placing a different situation in terms of a game situation and they're unable to execute, it is because they do not understand what they're specifically able.
So the solution, from a coaching perspective, is that we as coaches have to try different methods. If they don't understand one, we have to try be creative and do something. We just can't do the same thing all of the time. We have to, right?
The real question is, do I have one, or am I just randomly doing stuff?
Okay.
That's it. That's the original question you have to solve, which is, do I really have a method of teaching these players? So we might say, oh, we move from simple to complex in whatever task. But the simple to complex, is it realistic to the game? Or the specific way we want them to play? Again, does it have the right pressure? Right? So within that specific context, you have to be able to mediate, give knowledge, create a learning culture, and create an identity within the player. And the process itself will reflect how the player is. Like I always say, the game is an exam. So it means if they are unable to pass the exam, it means that your pedagogical skills or your teaching skills to impart knowledge, the language that you want is as a result of your method of teaching. Right? So sports pedagogy is simply about supporting an athlete's ability to learn sport-specific skills and how this learning can be structured to ensure that the participant gains wide social, personal, and health benefits whilst learning. Again, this is not about solely tactics and techniques, it's the holistic development of the player. So considering all the aspects of the player, you would then improve them in the sport itself. Now, with doing that, in understanding pedagogy, you have to now understand as well how best does Akeem learn, how best does Mohan learn, how best does Sammy learn. So this is now another context. So it's individualizing while we are looking at a team context. How do I individualize these particular skills so that Sam is able to learn it, Akeem is able to learn it, Mohan is able to learn it? And that's the context of pedagogy.
But if you start as a young coach, it would be very difficult to to implement some of these practices.
So, for example, if I say we must show up at 8 and have players showing up at 8 or 3 at night, if I allow that to continue, that means what about my pedagogical skills? It means I'm not focusing outside of the game, which would then affect the game. So it isn't anything complex or outside the box, but think simple. You understand the importance of time. You show up on time, you get stuff done, you execute. If you're late for a tackle, you can't score. If you're late for kicking the ball to the goal, you can't score the goal. So just by them showing up late, it reinforces these contexts as an individual and as well as how it is applied in the game. While we are teaching tactics, we are also teaching life. While we are teaching the skill, we are also teaching life. But it's not that we're going to veer off to any big extent. It is, you will recognize when persons need to listen, and you will tell them why they need to listen. You recognize when they need to be on time, when they shouldn't be disrespectful. And then it is the team context, then it develops the culture, then it develops the pedagogical skills. So for example, if there are players who are showing up late, it means you're gonna have to teach them again. And then those who are already there, they are bored. Then what happens? The session goes to hell. So it's these simple things, if we're able to get these right, then the context of the class or the context of the session, you can now teach because the environment allows for you to teach. Persons recognize they have to listen, they have to show up on time, they have to explain themselves, and then the process continues. All right? Are you a coach who simply focuses on the sporting aspects or roles in terms of training? Or are we doing enough to educate our players in the wider context? So these are some focuses we have to look at in terms of pedagogy. As simple as I said it there, clean shoes affects the entire person, who they are, how people approach them. Clean socks, showing up on time, how I speak to people, how I react. All of this translates into one, how people behave towards you. If people don't have a positive response towards you as a result, then it affects you mentally. When you are affected mentally, it then translates into the game. You then don't have the confidence to execute or to work with the group. As a result, tactics and technique of the individual player would not improve. If that doesn't improve, then the tactics of the team cannot then move forward. So it is developing the whole child or the whole individual, which will then influence the entire culture and the practice. I'll pause there again for anyone who wishes to jump in. All right, so Ms. Amor believes that sport pedagogy is conceptualized into three basic areas. So knowledge in context, so viewed as the appropriate knowledge to be taught regarding the sport and how it looks in practice. So you have to be able to teach the right knowledge, what it is you want specifically. Now what you believe, now how you feel on a given day, but how does it apply in terms of the realness of what you're doing? Is it associated with the game? So you then have to now consider the learners and the learning. How can we encourage diversity in learning, individualize the learning, and support the learning or the learner's process? So we might keep doing one simple thing and assume that all players learn best in that specific way. But then you realize in the game that is not the case. So first, we have to have the right knowledge and the context in which to give them the knowledge. We have to recognize who the individual is and how they learn and how we support their learning process. It is not a team thing in this context. We have to look at the individual. And obviously, you have to now look at the teacher, the teaching, or the coach, or the coaching. The key aspect of pedagogy is to grasp the interaction between the teacher, the coach, and the learner. So how do I speak to you? How do I get the information from you? Do I tell you everything? Do I ask the right questions? Do I recognize who the learner is and understand when and how to get this done? So that's the side of the pedagogy. First, I have to have the knowledge, which speaks of the efficacy. Then I have to recognize who the learner is, which speaks again of the efficacy. Then the effectiveness is how well am I able to carry out the information as a teacher to make sure that understanding takes place. Pause here again. So on the side, the diagram that is here recognize that this is one of the simplest contexts that takes place. So we give the instruction, we explain. So that's verbal. Then we demonstrate. That's visual. Then we allow them to play. Then we make our analysis to see what happens. Then we give feedback. Now, feedback is not us telling them what to do, but more so try to recognize what they understand and then guide them to where we want them. So that's the pedagogy. Now, if we tell them what they are supposed to do, how then do they learn to solve problems as they arise in the game? If we do not give them the right instruction and the right explanation, if we don't give them the right demonstration, then obviously when we start to observe, we will recognize that the players would have interpreted your information different to how you want. And obviously, feedback you're going to get from them may not be the ones that you want. So with this context, you have to recognize that you have to take ownership of what takes place. So you have to have the knowledge of when, where, how, who, what. You have to give the right instruction, and it must be simple and clear. You have to demonstrate, you observe, you analyze, and you get feedback. Pause here again for any comments from anyone.
I mean, I remember you always talk about the language, you know, the exercise and stuff like that, right? And the different methods of how you do things. You mentioned it also. But it comes, you know, is more or less the same thing, though.
Yep.
And I remember you also, you know, the individual play, you know, and you just mentioned that, you know, like 10 minutes ago, each individual, you know, learn different ways, right? And something else from the practice, you know, you see the quality of the practice and the progress.
Yep.
After, you know, you demonstrate, you know, so it's more or less the same thing. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's the same. But again, it starts from what we started with, which is the efficacy. Do I have the belief and the confidence to do this? Then to be effective, I have to have the knowledge, and I must know how to demonstrate, and I have to know how to observe. And when I observe, then I would know how effective I am.
Okay. The knowledge is the different methods and exercises and stuff like that, you know. So like, you know, right?
Plus, it's gonna be based on your game model, how you want to play. Does what you're doing is it realistic to your game model? So for example, you may be doing a drill, Sammy. Here's a prime one. You may be doing a drill, a small-sided game, and you're telling the players as soon as they lose the ball, one press it. But you and I know from being here for months, that is not what you want. But you are teaching that specific knowledge to them. So there is where the conflict lies now, because when it happens in the game, you're gonna be like, no, don't do this. You have to recognize that the knowledge of whatever you're teaching is a direct reflection of what you expect to see.
Right. If it's soccer related to what you expect, yeah.
Right. It's what you want. So I know you don't want your players to drop off. But you can't go then and teach them to press because that's not what you want. Just having the knowledge to recognize what should be done, when it should be done, how it should be done, based on soccer or football content.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello. So I wanted to just go back a moment when you said ownership as a coach to make sure that you're able to explain and demonstrate properly. Because, I mean, in general, the younger the players are, the more variety and diversity in understanding you're going to encounter. And so the more specific sometimes you need to be, and sometimes the quicker at it because the attention span is a lot shorter. So sometimes it tries you even more with younger ages. But still, even older ages. And then with older ages, I think part of the key there is sometimes players won't say something. And that's a big challenge because they might be intimidated or embarrassed to say something in front of their peers. When the kids are younger, they tend to just, throw things out and say whatever right. They say what they know, they say what they think. But there's a peer pressure that goes with every age getting older and older, even into the coaching, where if I say something, I'm acknowledging that I don't know, I don't realize it, I might look ignorant, ridiculous, or someone might look down on me. And so it's very important to establish from the beginning in part of your culture that it's a safe place to ask questions or let people know that they don't understand. And it's important to ask as a coach to make sure it's not just on them to say that they don't understand. And this is very important because it happens in school also. Kids will go through and they won't say anything until it's like too late, and then it's very sad. So we want to make sure that we do acknowledge and have ownership every time that something doesn't happen the way we're envisioning it, that we stop, take a moment, reflect, redemonstrate, and let them know, hey, it's okay, no worries, that's my bad. I have 14 different, perspectives here in front of me. It shows I needed to, be a little bit more specific.
And with that, I want to emphasize something you said, which is culture around learning. Is it a safe environment for me to say, Coach, I don't understand? Is it a safe environment for me to make errors and coach them show? Because if the environment is one where if I say I don't understand, I'm ridiculed, do you think I'm going to ask again? If it is that whenever I make a mistake, I get ridiculed or caught or whatever, do you think I want the ball or I want to express myself with the ball? So again, the environment that is created around the learning process, again, will dictate the amount of learning that takes place. And that, again, is part of the pedagogy. What is the culture that we create around sharing and education and how we treat each other around learning? Why sport pedagogy and understanding learning theories? So I forgot to mention the last. So some of your work for this week is to learn and understand learning theories. Everybody, learning theories. Okay?
Don't move it yet. Hold on.
Learning theories. Learning theories.
But still, when it doesn't matter which license that you take, right? Mm-hmm. They always speak about, the components of the game, right? Mm-hmm. And I just tried to mirror both of these things, right? The explanation and the instructions, right? And you talk about knowing what you're going to do, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the technical, tactical, and psychological, right? Isn't it?
Yep.
So I just want us to understand that, the way that it is traditionally taught, right? There's nothing wrong with that concept. You understand? I think for the brighter people like you.
No, it's not a matter of brighter people. Let's use a context. What would be your regular, a simple layout of yourself? Regular.
I mean, it's still the same thing. I mean, you have to understand, like what you mentioned, you have to understand how players learn.
Yeah.
You have to understand, the purpose of, coaching. Because you coach because you want to improve play. So all of these things, the plan, okay, remember in different Zoom, we did our plan and microsite, all of these things, that's a traditional way. And
but I'm not trying to change any of those. I'm not saying change any. I'm saying around those, what is the culture that you create around these players that allows them to receive the information and learn the information and understand the information in order to execute. So an example would be, maybe I need to bring a whiteboard just before to show specifically what I want to have. Maybe I need, like you said, there are coaches who may want a video to see specifically what it is. So those are just some ways to introduce your topic or the information you're trying to get across. Now, while in presenting the information, what is the behavior of the players or the language that you use to present the information would then dictate what happens in the training session. It would then dictate what type of culture is around the team. And then it would dictate how every person learns around you. So again, what if I go in a class to teach ABC? And everybody in the class already knows ABC. Then obviously you're going to cause problems in the class because children are not motivated to do anything. Similarly, if I show up to a session and the session is below or above the players, then obviously I, as the teacher, didn't have the right knowledge in the context. I didn't know who the learners are and how they learn, as well as my process of delivery.
Monday. So
yes, sir.
Like, okay, more like you, when you go into these schools, if they hire you to do the precision in the school, and you don't know the skill level of the players, what do you do? I mean,
Rondo, Sammy, first 2 minutes, Rondo, tell me who can play. It tells you, Rondo, for me, it's a mini architecture of the entire game. You do have goals, right? But you have the build zone, all the back in the middle. So you have enough in there where you could see if a man could receive the ball across his body and if he could change the point of the attack. If you look into play, in the combine, you could tell from a 4v2 whether someone could play or not. So once I do Rondo for 3-4 minutes and watch you, I can tell if you're a baller or not. It wouldn't take me, if you're a true baller in a Rondo, it's going to take me seconds to realize. I mean, maybe on your first touch, you can realize whether you're a baller or not.
But listen now, remember, if my technical director is in the stands, right?
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
My technical director is in the stand, I have to make sure I have my session plan written.
Yeah, Sammy, just a plan easy, Sammy. I ain't trying to let her play on Sammy. We ain't trying to let her play on the soccer field. You understand? If I come in, my diagnostic, if I run, I go all the time. I do consulting work and I help teams develop. So nowadays schools mostly because I work at that one school, so I mostly do for club teams. So I go in and help teams to play better. And the first thing I do is Rondo. And from there I do positional play, and then I scrimmage. And I scrimmage. I will bring, if I don't have two big goals, if I have one big goal, I bring a pug or two pugs just off the D, 20 yards some goal. So I run 3 segments, for example. So if I have to give the TD or whoever it is a lesson plan. 3 segments. First half an hour, rondos and activation. The rondo.
Okay.
The kids warm up.
Are you okay? Remember, you might have okay. If you tutor, a new coach, like an assistant, right?
Sammy.
But it seems like you're talking from the top of your head, though. Because remember, you come into a session and you're planning your session before you the night before.
Sammy, anything you ask me now from the top, I can float. If you, anywhere you drop me in a session, boys, girls, no matter what age, I can plan the session right on the field. So when you give me, it doesn't matter who it is.
No.
I still on my camp plan a session. So when if I get to session, Sammy, and you tell me to come for you 16 girls, and I plan a session, and when I get to there, they tell me, boy, the U18 boys coach is sick, and we cover the girls, but we didn't cover the U18 boys. That's the problem. What they need. If you tell me they need, if there's something that they need, I coach that. You want them to start to press the ball over the back. You want them to work on the chin in the point of attack. You give me a topic, give me a team. I'm gonna coach it. Now the layout of this session is basically the same way. You just change the coaching points. So from jump, the rondo and activation, the rondos is just to lay the foundation to see who could open up and play and support them and what's not, and warm them up. Activation, you do leg strengthening, core strengthening stuff to get them physically ready. So after that first half an hour, that first 30 minutes, they're ready to play. We go into positional play, which is where I put them in their positions and we play in a possession game. So that's the work you do in your build zone, how you build to go to goal, right? The last half an hour, we're going to goal, right? The scrimmage. So whether it's two big goals, a big goal, two-puck goals, gate goals, whatever it is, the last half an hour is game-like action, and we're defending, and we're going to goal, a lot of action. But
related
on the coaching point, all I have to do is adjust my coaching points.
Okay. But I just want to make sure that if
I
exactly as young coaches, right? You have to and these have experienced coaches also. You have to have a session plan. Whether but you seem like you're talking from the top of your head.
No. For me, football is basic. Is just what he said there. The reason he's able to say that is because he
has his experience.
He has a specific pedagogical style.
Thank you, Theon.
He knows specifically how to get the kids to do what he wants them to do. So that's his specific style. All that changes is the objectives.
Sammy, that's game recognized game.
So first, he has no direction. Then he gives direction and position. From direction and position, then he introduces the game. That's his particular style of teaching. So first he goes no direction, then he gives direction and position, and then he gives game context, the entire game. Are we today, Mohan?
Yes, sir. Like I told Sammy, game recognized game. It's top coaches out there.
So Sammy may have a different way which may be isolated. All right, so he teaches his skill isolated, and then he transitions into making it a little bit more complex, and then eventually in Mohan's pedagogical style is based on what I just expressed a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I see why some of our coaches don't want to come on the Zoom.
Why they don't want to come on the Zoom?
Football, we just say football, match football, something like that.
Yeah. Game recognized game.
Game recognized game. Guys are too much.
So why is sports pedagogy understanding of learning theories can lead to better coaching? I'm going to describe these as strong implicit beliefs about how people learn and what is good for them. So use Mohan's context, his view is people learn force without direction. So force, you give them it without direction. Then you give them direction. And then you give them the game context. That in itself is moving from simple to complex. So the first case, there's less decisions to make. The second scenario, more decisions to make, so it's more complex. And obviously, when you go to the game, all of these decisions come into play. The person should be reinforcing the skills that they're teaching. You can see this still in coaching with approaches of coaches doing things because it is the way I was taught. Again, the person just do it because of the way they were taught. And maybe not altering their practice with new approaches because their tried and tested method work for them. Again, this is not saying to change, but if it works for you, fine, go ahead, continue. Just understand the context in which how you could use your current method to improve the process of learning and the culture you create around.
I mean, on my side now, which is different from what Mohan is saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
From my practice, I'm showing, good examples, that I want kids to do. I'm demanding a higher standard
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, the performance, repetition and stuff like that, right? Then, I guess the feedback, and it could be verbal, it could be, as you mentioned last week, it could be non-verbal from your actions. You understand? So, I mean, all of these things, it's just magnificent how from week to week that things are so similar and it's so much good information,
Similar yet so different.
Yes.
Unless you understand. You may know it, but
right.
Do you understand?
And I can't credit you enough, honestly. This is,
So, again, the commitment to, again, I must commend you on this part of your and Mr. Alexander and everyone who was through it. Commitment to pedagogical process. So the reason you're here is to learn and to understand how learning takes place. Would ensure the coach has a long life relationship with learning and would show commitment to constant learning and adaptation in their practice rather than sticking to tried and trusted, potentially archaic methods. Having a clear understanding of prominent learning theories and how these relate to your practice as a coach will provide you with a conceptual framework and vocabulary for interpreting practice and how and why they are specifically facilitating learning. So again, how am I sure that these players are learning?
Because, okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You're challenging them. During the practice, I think that, when you challenge them and, you bring different scenarios and stuff like that, I think it facilitates, learning.
Yeah, but how are we going to know that learning takes place? How are we gonna know? So how are we gonna know? How are we gonna know the exam? The exam is the game.
You can tell from their behavior.
Game.
The game.
Game. That's where we're gonna know if our pedagogical methods have been working. Right? Oh, here's what I think.
But before the game, you have to challenge them and stuff like that.
I agree. But you have this is the problem. The problem with me as a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
My context can always take me back to that, which is think exam, think final term exam. it was never during the 6, let's say 8 weeks before your final exam. It was every week there's practice and an exercise, practice and an exercise, practice and an exercise, practice, exercise. When you get to the game, which is the exam, then we would know if the practice was effective, if the exercises were effective, and so forth. The point is the child able to answer the questions that are being asked of them in the game?
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
That it is. That yes.
Yeah, and then you do all that, and then you find out at the game that they do have the personality to execute.
Right.
The knowledge.
Right.
That the knowledge, but the personality.
And the effectiveness.
Yes.
And then that affects the effectiveness, Sabi. That effectiveness.
Exactly. Effectiveness gone out the window.
God.
So what do you do?
You start again.
You just
start again.
You pay to coach, Sammy. You coach.
Start again. You start again.
This system has to.
You see now, that's why you mentioned earlier, you have to have the coaching plan. Because you go back and you say, all right, this is how I did this session. What about it? Improve the learning. And then you go again. Yeah.
Wait. I lost my thought there. Remember, okay, in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The results, you lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not doing what you tell them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I remember a couple, it's not the results right now. Remember the development of these players over a period of time.
Right, but you, again, a couple of things. See, my problem is I listen, right? So you say they're not doing what I tell them to do. So you start by doing. You're supposed to tell them what to do. You're supposed to teach them how to fish. You give them fish. So that's the first thing. Next.
Wait. Explain that again for me.
So you said the players are going out and they're not playing how you tell them how to play.
Right.
So again, boss, show your mother, your grandmother, whomever used to say, teach people how to fish rather than giving them fish.
So what do you think the practice is all about? Is that teaching?
Exactly. The practice is teaching them to fish.
Right.
It's
so
not
understand.
telling them how to fish.
Well, no, I mean in the pre-game meeting, you have to tell them what you expect from them. In the pre-game meeting.
Then you're late.
No, wait, no.
You're late. So
No. Obviously, no.
Then you cram into the exam.
No. Obviously, you practice all week. The reason why you practice during the week is to play the game on Sunday.
Answer the questions that are going to be asked of you in the game.
Right. When Sunday comes before the game, you have your pre-game meeting and you're telling them this is what you expect from them.
So here's a question for you. How long is the pre-game meeting? What time is the pre-game meeting?
Just prior to the game, 50 minutes, when it's fresh, before maybe the warm-up. Before the warm-up, yeah.
How effective it is, based on their mental state and who they are and what they are. Are they really listening to you?
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, our pre-game meeting, I want to go out there. The sadness in my throat, I can't wait to go out there and play for this coach. This is going to affect it out of me, honestly. And I asked the other players, the same thing. And they say, yes, the pre-game meeting is so important because this guy psyched me up, ready to go.
You see? So there's a difference there now. Are we talking motivation to prepare them for the game? Or telling
that's
them
part of it. Yes, that's part of it also.
If you still have to tell them how to play on game day, it's bad. Okay. Listen to me. It's bad.
I look at basketball coaches, right? Before the game, as soon as they come inside the dressing room, all of these things is on the chalkboard right there.
Yeah,
Everything's on the chalkboard.
I agree.
That they have to execute what they have to do.
I agree.
So
Because this is how we are going to assess them at the end of the day. If they were able to execute what we said they should do. So Sammy, how much time did you cram before exam? Plenty?
man, I was a crammer.
And how was it?
Sometimes I miss, sometimes I miss.
Uh,
You understand what I'm saying?
and then 3 days or 4 days after,
I forget everything. No, I forget everything. I come to college.
so that's the point. That's the point there. Whatever learners are we producing.
And I know I was that kind of learner because, I remember, it's probably was a history exam, 3 chapters. And it's no way none will come from 1 chapter.
So you know the information, but you don't understand it.
Right. So I crammed the 2. And guess what now? You're so stupid to bring them. And I had the biggest laugh. Mm-hmm. But no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So what is a game-based approach? So we're not going to look at game-based approach when we're coaching or the pedagogy of using the game-based approach. So again, game form as the main learning content. So everything we do is based around the game. Modification of, we have to say, the pre-game meeting can be reminding the players of maybe 3 main points of the game model that was focusing from. Yes, I could agree with that as well. Simple, straight to the point, get them out there, let's see where they are. So modification of the configuration of the games as a means of focusing on different aspects of training. So everything is based around game situation. To have a game situation, you must have attack, defense, and the different transition. The game must have direction, must have focus. All right. Understanding or game intelligence focuses to explicit teaching and game design. So again, the context here is more or less dependent on the coach, but mostly the organization of the session. So it's how you set up the session brings out the objectives that you want. It's not that you're going to tell them what to do or explain, but the organization of the session to bring out what you do. So how the modification of the game configuration. So you arrange the session based on the organization of your session, meaning where you place the phones, the rules of the game, how to score, how you defend, but then dictate the learning process. And it is not you explaining to them how it should be done, but allowing the game or the organization of the session to dictate the learning objectives. The game-based approach is understood as a problem-based approach to teaching the game. So you are giving them a problem to solve, where skill is learned within the context of the game according to Cooper and Kessel Blank. So again, it is not analytical where we place them in a line. So 3 players in a line, you pass to the middle, you tell them to turn, receive, to turn again, pass, receive, turn again, pass. Game-based approach is you place them in a game situation, and within the game situation, they learn how to do this turn, how to receive and to turn and pass within the game context. It is not isolated, it is learned within the game. Ellis believes that the method allows the coach to reduce the tactical complexity of the session, which allows more decision making, and then the coach can increase the tactical complexity of the session through the space, so they can increase or decrease the space based on the objective, time in which they have to execute, and the task they have to complete, the equipment that they're using, and the participants' constraints. So where the players to go, how many touches they could use, or whatever it is. So the game, within the game, the player has to learn how to play. And if we think back, who it is that used to put us in a line in the road to learn to control and so on? Nobody. You should tell us to wait on the beach. Nobody. So the game-based approach is not something new. It is what we have been doing for umpteens of years. The difference is coach should be affecting the way the game is being played so the specific objectives can come out. So, I'm sorry you couldn't see this cartoon properly. I think this, I found this and I just remind me of Mohan and Sam. So the first part is saying, I don't get it. Every time we come to training, we have to go around phones. But when we're playing the game, there are no phones that are involved. Right? So this is the basic concept of the game-based approach. It's not based around equipment, but more so the game itself, playing against players 1v1. The main reason that the practitioners decide to adopt the game-based approach model is that they at least are taught that the why comes before how. All right? So the why comes before the how. That's the context. So in using the game-based approach, the why becomes before the how we do it. So in teaching the analytical way, which is placing them in lines and without pressure and that kind of stuff, it is teaching them how to do it, how to do the skill, and not necessarily why and when to do the skill. Within the game-based approach, it will teach you why you need to do it, then you recognize how to do the skill. Right? Wow. A key focus is that the learner must make decisions about what to do with the game, within the game, and then how to do it. So that's the context of the game-based. This leads to greater tactical understanding of the game according to Sanchez, Barcel, Sanchez, 26, in comparison to the closed drill approach of learning in isolation. So Albonetti states that environmental cues are essential for athletes or players to select and attempt to adapt the correct skill execution in the tactical context of the game. And these environmental cues simply do not appear in isolated training. And if they do, they are often unrealistic. So some food for thought, Game-based training is in clear contrast to the typical behaviorist approach of isolated and skill-based training, where the athlete only has a single stimulus they need to react to and get a learning response from. If a coach is not adept at understanding what they are delivering and are delivering game-based approach sessions, these often look poorly managed matches where there are no constraints leading towards stimulation for the athletes. Yes, we may want to do the game-based approach, but when we do not understand it or how it should be done, it will look chaotic and kids themselves will then become bored and not stimulated and learning won't take place. It is also important to note that the high level of verbal instruction are the norm in traditional coaching, whereas the game-based approach moves away from this and a verbal instruction through the practice, allowing the athletes more autonomy to make decisions for themselves. So there's less reliance on verbal instruction and more so allowing kids to make decisions for themselves. But it is based on how you organize the session and set up the session. if the coach isn't comfortable designing practice to lead to specific outcomes, little verbal guidance of the coach may be poorly delivered. Yes, I see your hand up. You could go ahead, sir.
Tian,
Yes, sir.
It depends on the coach and the coaching style of that individual. Because we as coaches, we have a tendency of instruct every single play. Instead of having these kids making their own, like we put them on the field, we already drill them in practice, but yet we want to put them on the field and tell them what to do over and over, which as I get older, I took a different style of instructing because I usually tell them, okay, here's the deal. It's like when you are in school and the teacher is teaching, that is your practice. But your examination day is game day. Okay? And I usually tell my boys, I don't have to instruct you for everything. You should already know what we did in practice. So.
You instructing them in practice, what's the difference?
Huh?
Yes. Okay. My 2 cents on this, right? There are roles and responsibilities of every player on the field, right? And you can't allow these players, you have to let them know, and you're teaching them how to, this is part of the teaching. They have to know, you play into a system of play, and we went over this, in the Zoom already.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm not talking specific you. I'm saying as a coach, right? You want to teach them everything in practice. Everything in practice.
You're teaching them to be successful.
Let me finish. And game day, you still want to tell them what to do. And so, what did they learn in practice? Because you still teaching them in the game.
Scrambler.
Yeah.
2015 January, I'm in Barcelona watching under 14 game, and they're playing the league game. They're playing for the championship. Barcelona U14 playing a team named Gymnastic. I think in Spanish they pronounce the gymnastic.
Yeah.
Right? So there's one center ref. There's no linesman.
Yeah.
So for the American coaches, we're like, okay, looking on like a game like this means something. No linesman, right?
Mm.
So on one side, where the Barcelona benches, the coach, he's coaching like midfield and the forwards. On the other side, at the diagonal, where the linesman supposed to be, is a Barcelona coach coaching the back line and pushing them and organizing the back line. In the game, they allow that. It was interesting because you can't have a coach on that side of the field, right? But what we found interesting because these boys were like, what do they need to tell these boys? Because the boys don't have the system down. The 4-3-3 that they were playing, it was much more clear than the big team. Because when you're watching the pros improvising more and playing, much more fluidity. But the kids, you could see the formation. And we didn't think the kids need to hear anything from a coach. They could probably sit down and leave them alone, but they were coaching them. One guy was coaching the mid and the forward, and the other guy was on the other side coaching the back line.
The coaching never stopped. You see Pepper.
I'm not saying that the coaching stopped.
Alexander, I think you're using the wrong word. Commentary.
Yeah, but
commentary.
But the numerous of time we overcoach these kids.
Commentary.
No, okay, are we overcomment these kids until they do what
they can do.
No, listen now, Scramler.
Yeah.
I think, when you know your team better than anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they reach in the final third, it's a lot of creativity. You understand? It's a lot of individual play also. And you have to encourage that as a coach.
But Sammy,
yeah,
when the ball reaches the attacking third, that's when I coach by back line or let's step up. Because you have to coach the front parts of the game. So when the ball gets down, the guys on the front line, you can't really coach the man on the ball. So it's the man off the ball you're coaching. So after you send them back, play the ball in the right back, didn't play a ball. You're coaching the right back now because if theon playing center forward and theon makes a run out to the right wing, right? And the right back didn't play theon, but instead he played the 6 or he played the back to the left center, but to the right center back. And theon made a great run. After the ball move now, you're gonna be in the right back there like, dude, you see Theon make a great run on the line. Put the ball on the line. Come on, man. See Theon all here.
Well, all these are things that they jot down. You see when they have a notepad?
But Sammy, at my B license, they encourage us to coach in game. Sammy, it might be. My topic was attacking topic, and my team couldn't get the ball. We were defending. I had finding combination between the midfield and the forwards, and my team couldn't get the ball. So I had to coach in the game and coach the points, coach the points that were there. So if I saw a glimmer of an attack,
recording
I had to comment on that. So I had to tell you right back, Tia made a run next time, find him. Understand? And when I got my report back, the comments that I made in the game, the guy noted those, and he put good knowledge of how to break down the defense. He made a point of when I coached the right back to play the ball on the line to the forward. He made those what I said. He made those points on my report.
Recording in progress.
And I couldn't get the ball. So I got the ball finally with almost 20 minutes up. I made my point, but I struggled for the first 15, 16 minutes. We couldn't see the ball, Sammy. So what they relied on at that point was, can I coach in the game? We were encouraged to do that. So with that, I'm going to coach, and it's an approach for everyone, but I'm going to coach on game day. There's certain things in the game and certain players that I'm going to coach. I'm not going to stop coaching. But you don't need to be telling them what to do every second, because if the man on the ball, you can't coach him on the ball. That's what I believe.
So here's my thing. If we are talking during the game, are we coaching?
It depends. I choose to coach certain things during the game.
I think we are just directing like a band Master.
The players don't hear you.
What?
They don't hear you. They don't hear anything. They're not studying what you're saying.
Sammy, there's certain players you can coach off the ball. When the ball is gone, when the players don't have the ball, there's certain things that you could be coaching in the game. What do you want to call it, coaching or whatever? There's some you can give some instructions to players.
You could
off the ball.
them. You could instruct them.
Guys,
Yes.
not
everyone. Not everyone. You can't coach everyone because I might be too far away from you. But there's certain players, there's certain situations, there's certain coaching moments in the game when you can coach.
Let me give you guys an incident that happened to me years ago. Okay? I had the best team in White Plains, the best team in Westchester. Okay? Named White Plains Tigers. And we went to a club next to us, and I just sat on the bench. Right? And I did not say anything. The only time I spoke was halftime. Okay? We beat the team 6. Okay? Then we playing at home. We playing the last place team. They up 2-1. We needed a tie. To win the league. And the parents start yelling at the kids, do this, do that, and confuse every kid. Okay? And after the game, I said to those kids, I said, who do you prefer to listen to? And they tell me, Coach, I was confused because we already knew what to do. But my mom is yelling at me to do this. My dad is yelling at me to do this. And I don't want to hear it on the ride home.
Everybody have a system of, as a coach, you know, as your team, you have a system of play. And if you can't play within the system,
stopped.
If you can't play
Recording
within the system,
in progress.
if you can't play within the system, that's why the coaches have to make changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So before we go on to something else, right? What if you have like 20,000 people, you know, in the stands? They can't hear what you're saying. You understand? So it's important that, you know, during the week.
Hold on, Sammy. Hold on. Vicky was trying to get. So give Vicky a chance, and then we're going to come back again. Vicky?
Hi. I wanted to say that, you know, it depends on, yes, do you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. That it depends on what you say. So for example, you might want to remind you might see that a player has lost his mark or her mark, right? And so instead of saying mark number 11, mark number 5, and I know we discussed effective words, you know, using words, communication. But I think like sometimes it's better to just ask them the question. But it depends. So you might say, if they're near you, okay, where is your mark? Or remember what we discussed, just to get them thinking if it's something that you know that that player can work with, right, at that moment. And that they're not on the ball, right, is what you were saying, Mohan, because that can be tough. It's better when they're off the ball, right? That way they can plan. So
yeah, I mean, by the time a player gets on the ball, you can't tell them what to do. So you don't want to
exactly. That's what you meant, exactly. Yeah. So sometimes if you ask them a question, but that this has to be very different, to clarify, than the coaches that yell to players, "Why did you kick the ball?" That's not what I'm talking about. It's not a punishing yell after the fact. This is a, how do I prepare? How do I kind of cue myself into what I did learn in the practice kind of effort of communication. So you could do that, like what do you see? Instead of telling them, look, the best open pass is to your right or behind you. You have no pressure, right? Instead of saying that, which obviously is specific, you want to get them to think, right? Well, what do you see? Where is your open space? Which lane is open? Who is the least pressured player? But obviously something quick that they can work with at that moment.
Recording stopped.
So anyway, I wanted to just say that as well, because that could be even more effective than you don't want to then be instructing them. You don't want them to be robots.
Guys,
you want them to think.
Also, you have to make adjustments. You have to be able to make adjustment during the game, and you have to relay that information to your players somehow. So that's a very important part of the game, making adjustments. I remember, Shramley, you remember when we were in St. Vincent, the train I was playing on the 20?
Yeah.
And there was a problem, in the first 5 minutes, of the game.
It was Vinci left and Trinidad right.
Exactly. And we saw me and you were right there. And we saw in the first 5 minutes, and we're saying, this
recording in progress.
He has to make an adjustment, immediately. And he didn't make the adjustment that he had punished. So adjustment is part of coaching also. And you have to relay that information to the players.
That's true. As well as basic health and safety. Like if you see, somebody who might be injured, as well, that's an adjustment. Yeah. There are lots of types of adjustments.
Right. Well, I'm talking about adjustment in terms of, whether they're
tactics.
Yeah, exactly. They're overloaded in one area and you have to,
Right. Right. You might need to switch the center back to the left back or vice versa or whatever. Yeah.
Like the guy who you like for Vinci Heat,
Right. He did a good job.
Good job with Vicky. Vicky, let me wonder if you know soccer.
Scrabble.
So hear me. There's a reason I asked the question.
So did the goalkeeper.
So what was the difference between, or what's the difference between coaching, teaching, and instructing on the day of the game?
Okay. Let me start with coaching. Coaching is more instructional, where you kind of demand, okay? You expect your team to do so much, okay, in the game.
You have to describe that in that part. Come on.
Huh?
You have to describe it. Because remember, you practice all week. So there has to be some sort of...
Let me learn, man. Let me learn. Okay? Teaching is more like explaining what you need done, and instructing is like saying, is like basically saying, okay, if I need you to move to the right, move to the left, move up a little. That's how I see it.
I think instructing is
All right.
the very
Anybody else?
specific part. Oh, do you hear me?
Yeah, hearing you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think instructing is the, like the first level. It's the very, very specific. You're giving a specific command, demonstration, and teaching maybe imparts more of the knowledge behind it, the reasoning behind it, and then the coaching, maybe, and the application of it, and then maybe the coaching incorporates more of like facilitating it, guiding people, incorporating the environment that they're in to be able to apply the instructions and the teaching.
Okay. Based upon what we discussed last week. Yeah,
Right.
I know you have the answer for this.
Okay.
Based upon last week topic, and this is what I expect to hear from you. Am I right? Am I wrong? All right.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I want you to no. You know, I want you to explain it that way based upon last week.
It's not. It's not right or wrong thing. It's a discussion we having. What
It's what works for you, Sammy. It's what
you're
works
right.
for you.
Go and make a cross. Bosses, how can we penetrate down the side? Bosses, if we penetrate down the side, what is most likely to happen? Three different scenarios and cross. How can we penetrate down the sides? If we penetrate down the sides, what most likely will happen? Same, all of them giving the same responses from the class. We think yes, no. Give me that coaching are instructive. Versus if I say on game day, how can we penetrate down the side? Versus if we penetrate down the side, what most likely will happen? Same scenario. What are you thinking?
Man, soccer is so dynamic. Right. And coming back to the statement that we just mentioned, maybe half an hour, in this topic. We have to, when we coach, allow at some point in the season, whether it's 2 weeks in this, we have to allow the players to make their own decisions based upon your system of play. You have to give the players that creativity.
But it comes back to the same thing. do they understand your system of play? Do they understand what you want to achieve?
Well, you teach it.
Hold on. Do they actually see it in practice? These are the things we got to look into because some coaches believe that whatever they say goes, and they could be correct, but suppose they don't have the type of kids, the type of talent.
Okay. There's no way practice could be like a game situation.
What?
Practice is no way the practice that you have during the week could be like a great game situation.
Every practice should be like a game situation.
It should be, but it's no way in the real game.
Every practice mentally.
But I'm saying, Kamala, when you play a game against another team,
yeah,
there's no way you can similarize, your practice to, that game.
Yeah, so you play defense against the attackers, okay? So what do you mean when you playing that? For fun?
No, okay. What I'm saying, right? The learning process, and this is what Tian was saying with this, with this terminology, right? The learning process is during the practice. This is when you learn in the practice.
So it is during the practice. But you're also bringing them up to game speed.
Okay.
You're also bringing them up to game speed.
But I'm saying, okay.
And making them having the game mentality.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, answer.
Most of your practice is possession. What do you say?
Yeah.
You playing a team that,
Recording stopped.
played long, who switched the ball, and, how do you teach your players to defend against that? Do you
simulate that?
Yeah, how you should simulate that? How? Marquis does it somehow, but that's not your style.
Listen, when we get the ball, we possess. When we don't have the ball, we have to defend in all thoughts of the field. Not to win back the ball. Either we go zone, we go man to man, or whatever.
So who dictates that though?
Huh?
Because remember, this is during the game. Who dictates that? You are the sideline. Tell them that. Who dictates that?
Okay. There is several things in practice. We play with we play where one team plays with all the ball and they switch it and there is a line of confrontation. Okay? So when you get to that line, you can confront them. Okay? When they get to the line, then you can confront them.
I just think that during the game there should there should be no coaching during the game, right? Let them make their mistakes. Let them make their mistakes and correct their mistakes, right? And at halftime, you go in and you tell them what they did wrong and what they did right and what they should be doing when they get back on the field. That's the way you have to really create your team.
At every level, Sammy?
Huh?
At what level? At every level?
I would say that, yeah.
But Sammy, the problem I find, you know how we could, in youth soccer up here, we could sub kids out the game and sub them back in?
Right.
I've tried talking to players minutes after I sub them out, but something that happened. I've tried not talking, and they cannot remember. They cannot remember. Some of them, they lie. They may remember, but so I've lost the coaching moment. So my problem with waiting, right, is it's just that the players' attendance span, they gone. They don't remember what you're talking about. Like you're talking a foreign language. So I'm talking about not half time, Sammy. Like minutes after they sub out.
Right.
You can't help this man with the sub in the game because the man can't remember. So what I found to be effective, and I took my B in 2009, and they stressed that they stressed the in-game coaching in that. And I was already doing it, but I got justification. So I tried to coach, but off the ball, of course, right? So something and it's gone. You wait for the moment. So I don't. So here's an exception. I've coached off a player on the ball. Somebody plays a ball into your 9, but your 9 back turn to goal, and they can no one tell him time, turn, nothing. So all the field, you say time or you say turn, but that's a command that a player could give him. A center could give him or a defender, somebody who could seek a tech to give him that. I've done that, right? I've done that. I'm guilty of that.
Me too.
Right?
Me too.
But I wouldn't coach a player who is running to go with a ball or has a ball at the feet going for. Once you have the ball, I stay out of it. But I will tell my 9 to turn or my 7 or my 11 to turn. I will tell players to or time. I will say time or turn. I've done that.
But guys, remember the question.
And I've tried to cut that out.
On game day. Remember that was a question.
On game day. Sammy, you're 9 back turn to goal, right? 30 yards some goal, right? And then the 8-10 play ball into him. And you just said time or turn, and the man could turn and face. Okay, it's tempting. So it's human nature.
But in practice, you go over all these scenarios. You play back one touch.
The man ain't get side on, and if you in a position where you could man time or turn, you wouldn't do it.
Whatever you feel like doing. Whatever you
Sammy, I'm saying, Sammy, I'm not saying it's right, Sammy. I'm saying I've done it. I'm guilty of it. Whether I should do, whether I'm wrong or right is that, as I'm just asking you. Isn't that tempting though? 0-0 game, and you could tell your 9 to turn, or he has time to turn.
I sure do it. All of us have gone through the situation, right?
Sammy, would you
tell him one of the players?
0-0 game?
Okay, you tell him one of the players, hey, pass the ball. Then he do his own thing and score. Right?
So what I say, Sammy, is I don't coach players on the ball. The coaching moments when it's gone, that's when I generally coach. But the exception I'm saying that I've been guilty of is I'll tell him and the turn. So that's the exception.
So again, are we coaching on game day, or are we teaching or instructing on game day?
Tell me, Tian, I'm tired now, Tian. Let me enlighten me.
I just asking. I don't know. Similarly, my next question would have been: should training be about instructing, teaching, or coaching?
Late here, I've been on the field this morning.
No, this is what he's speaking about. This is what the Zoom has. Listen to me. The Zoom has changed in the past 3 weeks. right? It's more thinking now and less argument because Patrick and I'm gone. No, guys.
Because Sammy has evolved. Because Sammy has evolved.
No.
He's evolved.
Listen, the past 3 weeks, right? And to understand what we have done for the past 3 weeks, right? Theon, this thing is being taped, right?
Yeah.
And I really have to go over because like tonight, when we go over this thing by ourselves tonight, individually, we need to hear your words and what you're saying and just study what you're saying and stuff like and it will make us better coaches. Honestly.
Let me just say something. And I'm just going to piggyback on what you were saying. And during my final session for my USFC, okay, I was playing, my topic is using wit into attack. So in my group, I pick the coaches, say you play right, you play left, and you play. I set them up. So every time the ball goes to the left, other guy missed the ball. Okay, he missed the ball every time. So the instructor now is looking at me.
Exactly. How are you going to solve it?
So I am telling him, okay, your post touch gotta be better. You gotta be able to stop the ball and move it forward. Okay? Then after my session is done, and I went over to the instructor, he said, tell me what did you do wrong? And I'm like, I told him about his first touch. He said to me in this language, you should have told him to get to F off the field.
Well, I was hoping that I was thinking that way, I was saying, sub, get somebody else in there who know what to do.
And he said it's something you should have done. Because he just caused you your license.
And really?
Yeah. And he did not pass me. I have to go do it over.
Wait. Because a coach did not have a good first touch and you didn't kick them out of your activity, you lost your license?
Yeah.
What license was this?
See.
Really?
Guys, listen. These coaches who do these licenses, right? They're just average coaches who most of them can't get a good job in place. You understand? Yeah, you're exception, of course. But most of these guys, right? This is what they do. They do licensing. And they come up with these stupid stuff.
No, those coaches don't come up with it. They're translating it. But I honestly, I have not been to the C. I've been to the D license, and that was years ago. So, but I would not expect that at all. And that is really not only just disappointing, that is horrible.
No, Vicky, it was my fault.
So they judge you on that only. Scrum.
Number one, when he called you over, he asked you what did you do wrong?
That affected my game.
But when you look at it, Scrum, when you really think of it, right? I would have never failed for that, but you can understand where he was coming from in terms of making that change, right?
Because my topic was using wit. Okay?
But
my topic was using wit to penetrate.
So you need to make sure that the person is technically sound because white ball pass the 3 foot and all that kind of thing.
No. The kids are not always technically sound. You're always dealt with variables. How you deal with the variable is important. Not that you have players that have perfect touch. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it feels like I'm missing parts of details.
No.
Okay. With that white.
No part of no detail.
No.
Then okay. I don't understand why you're agreeing that it sounds like you're agreeing that you should have not gotten your certification because of that. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Because you look at it. During our game, once we're not getting what we want from that player, what do we do?
Okay, you're talking about like subbing the player out?
Yeah, I mean, that was the obvious thing to do, Scrumba. That was obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, suppose you had said, right? You know what? I'll take your place and show you how to do it. You take my place and you tell me what to do. And I show you what you should do on this side over here. I don't know what he would have said.
Right on. I'm saying he was very atrocious. And then in the evening, we went at a bar, and he came over to me, and he was saying, "Oh, I give you plenty of coaching points to during your session." And I'm like, "Dude, are you crazy?"
Well, you remember who he is? He was?
It was a white guy.
White guy. Okay, what like that? We didn't remember the name.
No, I don't remember his name.
No. American?
Huh?
Was he American?
Yeah, American.
Was he short?
Yeah, he was a bit short.
Yeah, what the guy name and he's still there, you know.
Huh?
He's still there. He's 28. No.
Scrambler.
But I mean,
Scrambler, good night, everybody. How you guys doing? Scrambler, it sounds like he gave you tips, and because you didn't follow it, you turned him off.
And usually they give you tips. They give you those tips during the week also, Scrambler.
Yeah, no, tell you things to do. What to do.
The instructor was an English guy.
It don't matter where he's an English guy now. You get instructions, he asks you to, make some points to you. You figure you're not listening or you're not.
No. I've been through that.
Well, go again, Scrambler. You might be a different instructor.
No. Scrambler, pass that along. Come on, man.
Yo, what happened to you, Pastor?
So,
then I went down to Delaware 6 months after. And
you got through.
And as soon as I start, like 3 minutes in, the guy says, "Stop. And I'm like, I'm wondering what is happening here. You understand?
You know what you're doing? You see the way you're doing. Come on.
He said, okay, coach, you finish. Next coach.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's like
Game recognized game scrambler.
And what they did this time, and they bring in players. They bring in players. Yeah. So
this is really
anyone watching can deny the reality of COVID pressing for
Night coaches, let money here. I'm just listening to you guys. I think because the coach instructs some pointers to him and he didn't follow his instruction, then he just give him a failing grade.
No. No. Those coaches, they say what they gotta say. Okay, I had this coach from El Salvador. He was my coach. Okay, and but when you up for your grade, it is a different coach.
Maybe it's not a different coach. Is the coach you've been working with all the time giving you a grade?
No.
Yeah, I'm like a lot of them.
In my it was a different coach.
Well, that's what they do, you know. If you don't take your instructions, they fail you. They do that all the time. And here's another sad thing. Some of these coaches have a quota to fail. They don't want to go to give a class and everybody pass. They don't do that.
I understand, but
that's the sad part of it. They do that all the time.
That's true, Patrick. Yeah, that's very true. Scrambler, you're a victim that time.
I know.
They're making money to Scrambler, so you're a victim at that time. Gotta make some money. You had to pay and come again.
I had to pay another 300.
Yeah, you had to pay and come again. It's pay to play.
It's over.
That's frustration.
Instead of 10 days.
You can't make that stuff, you know. You're going, there's a million ways to coach, you know, and be successful at different levels too. So
I'm talking about 2010 and a
still. You're coaching now, right? You eventually got your license?
Patrick, I already have my B. And everything. So long.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but
I get my B. I get my B, and I pass my B way above the passing grade. It was 60 coaches. Only 10 passed way above the passing grade.
Who did it, Dave?
Huh?
Who did it, Dave?
He had 15, another coach had 15, another coach had 15, another coach had 15.
So I was thinking, one Dave in the Caribbean,
What do what, Sammy?
Who did Dave Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took my seat with him.
You see, these guys, they redo the whole coaching thing, right? And this is why you need to, they come to the clubs now and do that kind of stuff over a period of time. And I think that's the better way,
It's because of COVID, son.
No. They have to see you over a period of 6 months and stuff like that. It's not because of COVID. No. That's the new method now.
So, Alexander,
Yeah.
imagine if you were using your own players to do your presentation. Do you have that same problem?
Same problem? No, but
Right. So that's part of the reason that changes the model. Most of the time you end up trying to coach players you don't even know. Or you can relate. So that's a deficiency that they saw in the process that they had before. So they would come now to see you actually working with people you're familiar with.
but it's like the hardest thing is to coach coaches who thinks that they knows it all.
Yep.
Actually, but you telling them what you want from them. What you tell them, and this it shows the quality and your assertiveness and all that kind of stuff, especially with these guys.
But usually it's the opposite, The coaches will cooperate, but what they would do is they won't try to show that they know. They'll actually play dumb. They'll actually just let you, even though they know something, they'll just
It depends.
They just let you do your thing.
Patrick, it depends on the coaches. It really does, because I've had that happen also.
I've never experienced that. I think coaches cooperate. I think the opposite. Not that they want you to. Not that they want you to.
That is your experience. We all have different experiences because we're all different people.
I think, but I think for the most part, they don't do that. If anything, they just let you fumble and they won't correct you.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. You're approaching as a man in the sport that in general is used to being a man's sport. I'm approaching as a woman and I am instructing or coaching men.
You're talking about that's a different dynamics now.
But this is important because this is real. And so it's just like it's like also being pulled over for being black. So it's a different dynamic, and it's an important one to point out.
I'm taking the high road on this one, and especially being a woman, I think a lot of men like to see women coaches.
Peter, I'm telling you my experience. I've had good experiences. But listen, I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences. So I have been in coaching courses where everybody was very welcoming. There were only like maybe one or two women, and that was and it was very helpful, camaraderie. I've also been in coaching courses where when it was and it was wonderful until the moment when it was my turn to pick coaches and pick a coaching point out of a scrimmage, and then the coaches got insulted. Everything was beautiful until it was my turn to say my perspective in a serious way. So I'm just letting you know that it depends. It depends.
Well, you got some jokes there. Some gender conscious jokes.
When I did my B, okay, I met this guy from he has his own club, okay, and we become friends and whatever. So it's like when I'm doing my final, and I did my final. He was like, "Oh, you shouldn't do it like that. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And you should have moved this player here." And okay, I told him. I said, "It's already done." When the result came out, he ended up with a 3.0. A 3.0. Barely pass.
But how you know all these things? How you know everybody agrees and you know?
Yeah, because he called me and asked me if I get my result, and 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 he was telling me, oh, if he say he can't believe he got a 3.2, and if you get a 3.2, which means you fail. You're telling me which means I fail.
How you encouraging this kind of conversation with you?
So I'm there and I'm panicking for the whole week. Then my result came back with all my pros and cons. I got more pros than cons, and I end up with a 4.2.
So let me ask you guys this: How does coach score the coach of your own coach before you can coach others, before you go on to coach yourself? How does that pertain to anything? How does that relate to coaching? How does that relate to your those what do you call them? Those coaching classes?
How
does that relate?
I didn't get the question.
It's right there.
How does a quote relate to those coaching sessions that you guys took part in? How does the quote relate to it? What's the coach saying about that?
Where's the quote? See what's his name?
There's a quote. Do you guys see the quote on the screen?
Oh.
Yeah, you go.
Oh.
Before you can coach others, you got to first learn to coach yourself. You want to coach for one of the greatest players ever. How does that relate to getting your coaching license?
Which means everything you saying to people, you got to apply it to yourself.
Yeah, take like what? Yeah, give specific. Like what?
Oh, what do you mean? Like what? Like your coaching discipline, your coaching attitude. Yeah. Your coaching style. You basically can't tell another coach what you expect of them, and you're not doing the same thing.
How about introspection and reflection and taking instruction? Because that's what happens.
That is the key. The sense of self-reflection, introspection, and evolution.
Because when you go to these classes and a coach and things are said in meetings and they give you instructions, they expect you to internalize that, go home, lie on your bed, ask yourself questions. Boy, coach said this. Is that true about me? And you go from there. You gotta introspect, you gotta reflect. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. You gotta do this. That's what you have to do.
And the first step of that,
see if you do it too.
The most important thing is to be open to feedback.
Exactly. So if he tells you something one day, you come back and you ain't do it, he gonna fail you. Or you didn't do any version, or didn't seem like it connected with you, or like you didn't absorb, or you didn't, and he thinks you're doing something, one of the points or one of the philosophies of coaching that he's been talking about. You warn your body, he give you a hint, maybe you could do it this way. You come back the next way, you ain't do it. He can fail you right then and there.
I think we're speculating a lot, guys.
That's not speculation, Sammy. That's that's how it's done.
Every instance is different.
No, but this is basic.
But we are not there, so we won't know.
No. Sammy, this is not like situation specific. This is in general. Like
exactly.
This is your approach.
Business philosophies, yeah. Right. Those are the basic stuff. So when he tells you something, if you can't take his instructions, you expect you turn around and you expect one of your charges to take your instruction?
Right. That's a good point.
Anyway, I love Cruyff though. I saw him play in 1975 in Holland.
You old, Patrick.
I know I old. Of course I'm old. That's why I could tell you guys about.
He's experienced.
Let me tell you guys something. When I was listening to the sports show from England and MSNBC. when I hear fellas say Ronaldo, Messi, and Ronaldo are the greatest players ever, I just laugh. I just laugh at these guys. You know, on NBC, he said it the other day. I think he said Ronaldo when he came back to Man United. Probably the greatest player ever. These two fellas never even win a World Cup. They can't carry the team on the highest level of the game. And you're calling them great? So I just laugh. Because I see Eusebio, I see Cruyff, I see Pelé. You know, so I just gotta laugh at these things.
Zidane.
See, I'm still laughing, man. Half of the things I hear them say, I just listen to them.
I ain't mentioned Zidane name.
Zidane is up there too. Great. Zidane, great.
Tremendous.
What's his name just died? What's his name just died? Good, Muller. I don't know how many of them knew Muller. Muller played 42 or 43 internationals with 46 goals.
Yep. Play with it back to the goal. Nobody's better than
Nobody's better than that guy in the box.
Yeah.
And they come down for Messi and Ronaldo. Them are club players. Them men can't even carry the national team. So how they great? If you can't perform at the highest level, you cannot attach greatness to these guys. Mario Kempes, 1978. Argentina. You know,
I just really try to avoid these kind of conversations.
These conversations are good. Don't avoid them, man. Because great.
So listen to me why I say I just avoid them. They're very subjective. All right?
Yeah, but okay, let me
so it's opinion. So here's my context.
It's more than opinion, man. Look at facts and stats.
Well, if you want if you want facts and stats,
you have to look at facts and stats.
How could you not say that they are the greatest? If you look at facts and stats,
they didn't do it on the international, the highest level of the game.
All right, let me go back there again. And here's my opinion over the entire.
Who's talking?
Here's my opinion on the entire.
This is Theon talking.
Maradona did not carry Argentina.
That's not true.
Zidane did not carry Argentina. France. Sorry.
Are you serious?
Kempes did not carry Argentina.
What did they do?
Name the other one.
Cruyff, Pelé.
Cruyff did not win a World Cup. Nah, didn't carry Holland.
Exactly. But
Pelé did not carry Brazil.
Okay.
Like you feel it's a golfer.
Listen to me.
You feel it's a golf.
You don't understand.
I don't understand.
Listen,
so let me get you a context. I listen.
Go ahead.
If it were golf or chess or one of these individual sports, then I could concur. Similarly, I could say without Kempes, Maradona wouldn't have won, and I could also say without if Higuain and if Di Maria did score, Messi would have had a World Cup. So hence the reason I do involve myself in these conversations.
Well, I do, because here's the difference between you and Thea. Here's what you're saying. You're saying that if there's some individuals that you could take out of a team and it doesn't make a difference. So the converse is this. Them fellas I made, one, they made the difference and they made the other players better. They made the players. That's what you have to look at.
And in your opinion,
it's not a matter of opinion, my friend.
I'm going to ask you something.
You're telling me in a team sport, one man can't make a difference. Here's what you're saying. Basically, what you're saying is in a team sport, one man can't make a difference. And that's wrong. It's happened
based on your statement. Based on what you just said. Based on what but you know, I listen to you. You gotta listen now. You gotta listen now.
Hear what you're saying. One man
let me talk now.
In the team.
When did I say that? So I never.
That's what you're implying, Tian. That's what you're implying.
No,
yes.
I didn't. No,
yes,
sir.
Yes, brother. Yes,
no, brother.
You're also saying one. Listen to me. Listen to me.
I'm telling you what I'm saying.
I am telling you what is. Let me tell you something.
You tell me why I said. Tell me why I said. Go ahead.
Let me get another example. Let me get another example.
Go ahead. Give me
Listen to me.
Go ahead.
Eusebio, 1966 World Cup. Portuguese behind 1-0. Disabled score 3 goals and assist in the fourth. And you're telling me one man can't make a difference in the team?
When
nobody said that.
When did I say that? I did not imply that, sir.
So what are you telling me about Maradona? Without this, without Pelé, without Maradona, without Kempes, those teams don't win. And in that moment, they don't win, and that's what you have to think about. How they inspire the players around them too.
You guys listen now?
Man, I don't know, man.
How you guys still talk?
Let me listen to you.
You listening now? Okay.
Let me listen to you.
Let me go back again. The greatness of these players is as a result of the teams they were in.
We know that, but they inspired the team.
In your mind, you're saying, in your mind, I am asking you, the teams that Maradona were in, the teams that Kempes was in, were poor teams?
You don't understand how they made their teams better. They made their teams better.
All right. Okay. Those teams, let me finish this. Man, you don't talk. It's my time for talk.
No, but let me finish.
It's my time for talk.
I know that. This is your show. You got this last.
Go on.
Them teams that Messi and them fellas in those teams will go too. But they could not make the difference. Yeah. You have to look at that.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I'm done.
I could start now.
Yeah, man.
So, how many World Cups did Maradona win?
Maradona won 1 World Cup.
One alone?
I can't remember. He won in '86, and who else? And I can't remember what he won again. He might have. The question is how many men won 3 World Cups?
I asked you that, man. I asked you how much World Cup.
I can't remember. You tell me. I know you won in '86.
That is my point. That's the flawness. The argument is then flawed when you tell me Maradona win a World Cup. He did not win a World Cup.
If you go among coaches who've been around the game, don't say things like what you say now, bro.
Man, you can't tell me what to say. You can't tell me what to say.
You gotta open up you have to open up and think deep about the game. Brother, do you understand what the presence of these guys do to a team?
You contradicting everything you're saying.
I'm not.
Yes, you are, because you telling me what I must say and what I must believe, but you could tell me what you believe and what you think, but what I say and what I think don't matter.
Tian, I just want you to ask it to other coaches. Don't ask me. Ask other coaches what I just said. Ask them how they feel.
But you ain't hear them telling you, hey, what I saying, but you still contradicting what I saying?
Go ask fellas who've been around, who's seen.
My man want to know more who've been around and who's seen.
Okay, so you agree?
Go ahead. Sir. You finish your statement. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
You go ahead. I go listen. I like listen. Go ahead.
No. You go
ahead.
I'm done. I make my say. All I want you to do is ask fellas, some mature coaches. Ask experienced coaches.
Ask mature coaches what?
Tian.
What? Hold on, Sammy.
No, talk to the other fellas. Talk to them.
What should I ask? What should I ask the mature coach? Sammy.
The statements you making there about golf and one man can't make a difference is rubbish. It is rubbish. Tian, it's rubbish. Yes, it's rubbish. Take Pelé out of the Brazil team. Take Eusebio out to the 66 team. Take Maradona out to the Argentina team. If you don't win, take Cruyff from team.
Brother,
you gotta think of the game on a different level here. Think about the presence of those players and what they do to the team.
All right.
Are we finished? Let me finish up now.
Sammy, I want to respond now.
No, let me finish up this.
I want to respond.
We still have a lot to talk about still. Let me finish up this thing.
Yeah, I don't know to talk about. I guys see. I can tell you, I do like them arguments. I do get involved with nobody with them arguments because it do make no sense, in my opinion. It do make no sense. It is too subjective, in my opinion.
This is the excuse you guys use. So why do you have stats, guy? Why do you have stats? Tell me. Why do you have statistics? Explain to me
All
what
right.
role does statistics play. Forget it. What role does statistics play in determining who is good and who's not? Why do you keep
All right. Based on statistics, who is better than Ronaldo and Messi?
I just mentioned it to you.
Who?
Statistics and the internet. Put them in the international level. Compare.
Who have more goals than them in international?
Well,
we're talking World Cup on the highest level. I just gave you go and you have to judge them on the highest level.
But Patrick, Patrick, these club teams better than international teams.
Check good Miller's international stats. Ronaldo, Messi don't come close. So how do you compare
these club teams? Champions League is club
teams. Yeah,
they're better than the international games.
Sammy, they're great club players. They're not international players.
So here the other side of the argument. Your argument. Here's the other side of the argument. You would argue that one specific team won because of specific players. Can you also argue that the competition they were up against is different to the competition now?
Oh man, this is rubbish. Bro, half the things are better than what you see today. Don't give me that stuff now. Don't come there. Don't come there. I couldn't throw them names.
That's the same point I trying to make. How could they be better? How could they be better? How could they be better when the phases of the game were different, the style of play was different? How could it be better or different?
This is the same argument that baseball in the United States has all the time.
You cannot match the generations on the style together.
And that's not true, bro. Don't make people fool you. That's an excuse.
The equipment is different as well.
Yes, but
the equipment is also different.
Look at how many average players you have today.
Listen to me.
Patrick.
They say coaching and improving since.
I'm listening.
The players get worse.
Better coaches now.
Ian.
All of you guys.
They get better coach.
You guys have this thing because somebody is.
And the players work.
Let me ask you this. Today's players. Okay, they have all this, whatever. Are they better than Viv Richards and Brian Lara? Just answer the question. You say you can't compare. You say you can't compare one era to another.
Oh, Jesus
tell me. That's what you said.
Brian Lara was a generational talent. Not many can compare.
So Brian, if Brian came along today with his class and his technique, he couldn't make runs today.
No, he's a generational talent, so he would transcend any generation.
My friend, there's some things that expand beyond generation.
All right. So I asked a talent that would Can I ask you a question?
So Garfield Sobers with his talent transcends because nobody has come along and done what they have done.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, man. Ask the question.
My question. You think you're right?
Why don't you ask the expert? No. Forget it's not. It's not about me. It's not about me. You're missing
me and you talking. You think you're right? You think you're right?
Okay, so you think you're right. You think you're right.
Answer my question when I ask you the question.
I think yes. I think I'm right because I see what's going on today, and I could compare. You can't.
Right. But
guess
so
what?
You are right. So I don't.
Guess what? So you say I can't. What are you saying is because it's me, I can't be right.
I never said that.
That's what you're implying.
No, that is where you interpret so. The reason I said that, let me explain. Hold on, you're not going to listen.
All I'm saying is,
you're not listening. You got to listen, sir. You got to listen. My context is this. If I ask you if you think you're right, then it means we are having an argument. And I do not have arguments. Hence,
you see all these silly things. You see a lot of silly things because I think
brother, you cannot convince me of different. That is why
I don't want to convince you. I'm just telling you. I don't want to convince you. That's why I told you, Ian. Go and ask coaches who have been around. Go ask coaches who have been around. You have this thing about subjective. Brother, this thing about subjective. There's
Listen to me
something
again.
no talent. Who's
Listen
come
to me
along
again.
that's better than Sagari Somers? So he
Nobody.
was generational.
Nobody.
And your generation can't produce Sagari
Nobody.
Somers.
Nobody.
But for
Exactly.
but
Nobody.
It's
for
talent.
every-
Yo, how did we get to this point of who better?
Brother,
No, you
I
have
tried
to,
good.
because
I
that's a
tried good.
reality. Some people are better than others.
Sammy, hear me, right? Hear me now. I talk to you, guys say something. If me and you having a conversation, and I ask you if you think you're right, or you know you're right, what we talking again for? If there are no reason for we talk again, because you ain't gonna convince me of nothing, and I ain't gonna convince you.
But I'm saying,
So we just talking to talk.
That's your mentality. I'm telling you, go elsewhere and get the opinion what I say. See how many people drive with me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, let me have a conclusion before we go on.
Patrick.
Yeah, you don't know enough, bro. You don't know enough about the game.
I agree with you.
You just said it's not golf.
I agree with you.
So
I
a team is made up of individuals, and some individuals. No, you have to agree with me.
I agree with you.
The statements you're making are silly.
Yes, I am silly.
Yeah, but you're being facetious. What you think about it? It's
I am
not
silly,
golf,
Patrick.
so an individual cannot make a difference. That's what you're saying.
Yes, I never said that, but you go ahead.
Brother, it's what you're implying.
No. You implied that. I never said that, sir.
So why bring up golf? What did you bring up golf? An individual sport.
Guys.
You guys don't want to tell them the truth. Okay, yeah, we're done.
Hold on.
No, I finished, bro.
Hey.
You gotta read some.
Yes, Shane. So for me, right?
While we on this comparison, right? We should reference some things we learned on the Zoom, and some things where we have improved the game, right? So as time has progressed, we've improved nutrition. We've improved our understanding of fitness.
The people were faster and stronger.
And something as simple. The speed of the game has increased.
No. It's the same.
The scouting, a lot of stuff.
And even that other thing that Theon that we spoke about today, hydration, right? Where players don't swallow. They would just squeeze the water in the mouth, swirl it around and spit it out. So when making an argument, Patrick, I think we got to highlight to the things that have changed in the game since then. The heavier ball, the lighter ball, the players don't smoke cigarettes at halftime, they don't drink a beer at halftime, that kind of thing.
Again, another thing to add, right? Another thing to add.
Unless they're in Italy or Spain.
I love the show, that's why I'm on.
The lines are more narrow now. So there are less space for players to do what they need to do.
You guys are funny. You guys are
right?
Really funny.
And you could still scissors, man.
Everybody.
Exactly.
We share information. We see what everybody is doing. The scouting is different.
Yeah. It's good.
The game. So wait, I have a question, but it's for Mr. Alexander. Mr. Alexander, do you think your team is better now, or did they get worse?
To be honest, I don't have a team at present. I moved
on. You talk about them there now, man. You talk about them there. I talk about Red Devils.
Man, you.
Oh, you're talking about Vince Heat?
Red Devils. Red Devils. Red Devils.
Vince Heat was.
Red Devils, with your new signing, we expect this season with your new signing.
This is my honest opinion.
And you get three big signing,
Okay, I don't expect much.
From them or from the team?
I don't expect much from the team. I will be surprised. I will be surprised if we are up there to either second place.
Second place, what? You all don't have a style. You all don't have a
style of play.
You all don't have a system of play. You only play
the game.
Just trying to learn. Just trying to learn.
Listen, Manchester United lucky last Sunday they play.
Okay, sir.
The only time that they could, the only time
the man agreeing with all you. The man saying you expect much from them.
Is when Pogba made them long pass over the top.
Yeah.
That's the only time they're dangerous.
Tian, we having a conversation, right? You asked me a question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me answer your question. Okay. We have so much talent and we don't have a pattern.
How much talent we?
Yeah, man. They have talent.
In midfield?
Yeah, man.
In midfield?
All over the park.
We don't have a pattern of passing.
Which club is this?
Manchester.
Which midfield with Fred? Fred can't pass the ball. Which midfield? Fred and Pablo.
Last week.
We do not have a pattern of passing. We do not have a style of play.
We know that. Yeah, we know.
We don't have.
We noticed, Scrambler. We've noticed that.
I lost to all them thing, Allison. So how did they come second? How they come second?
Huh?
You see Trent Tucker and them play ball around them last week?
How they come second?
Yeah, this year, the second this year. Yeah, what about this year with Fred and midfield Pogba? This year we're talking about.
Fred and Pogba play last year.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead with that. But no, let's start now. This year, Fred and Pogba. Let's see what they get to that.
The midfield was never their thing, and it was always can they catch you on the counter. That's what about.
Yep.
Can they catch you on the counter and nothing change it, quote unquote, you improve your defense to allow for this to happen even more when you bring in Varane and when you bring in what's the other winger the name from England? Is more counter attack. Is in the same story again.
Man, look, that
was
team,
never the problem.
The team that ain't scored goal yet in the Premiership, play all over them last week.
That mean nothing. That mean nothing. That is football. Who get the 3 points?
Exactly.
Who get the 3 points?
Who are third place and unbeaten.
This is the English League, partner. You know?
But then again, I don't really hype yet. I just wait till roughly about week
March, April, lovely.
Week 8.
Nothing but March.
Week 8.
Wait until November.
Now week 8, November. To see
November. You talk about March, April. March, April, you already know who's gonna win.
No. I like all the little team at the bottom. Brighton and them. I like them little team there at the bottom. That team that can't score goal last week who played against Man U. Trent Tucker and man play is real ball man play last.
But that's the problem. They can play, they can build up, but they don't have an end product.
And they're going to lose the 3 points.
And it happened in all of the games.
Yeah.
They played over Aston Villa, they played over Spurs, and they played over Manchester United. But they haven't scored.
Yeah, man, you score a fluke goal there. That man who's going to.
It doesn't matter.
It matter. 3 points in the bag. 3 points in the bag.
When they have to score 2 or 3 goals, what do you do? How do you score?
They go find them. What do you mean? They get Ronaldo, they get Sancho, they get Rashford, they get Cavani. What's that? Between you, man, on the other side.
But I think I like Ronaldo, but them youth man couldn't play. So
I worried about what they were building over the past 2 years,
It gone down.
he can just.
Yeah, you mess up everything.
I just feel it can just.
I don't think by having him, they're not going to win more games. There's nobody going to have championship with that team. That midfield is not good enough.
I still waiting for 8 weeks to see where they come with us. To see where the coach comes with.
Man,
yeah. And to other news, let me harass somebody else now. We will go to Barcelona last. We harass somebody else. He gone? Oh, he's still here. Wait, he's still here. What do we expect from Arsenal this season?
Who there?
Shade.
Yo, top 4 easily. Top 4 easily.
Top 4.
But top 4.
Top 4 easily.
No. In which league?
Premier League.
He losing his job. Trust me.
Premier League. Look, listen, right? Listen.
He will be the first coach to get fired.
Listen. 2 of the games you play is the champions and the champions and the Champions League, right? So in reality, you don't expect them to lose. Then the first game, your 2 strikers have COVID. So basically, no. After 10 games, Arsenal will have about 19, 20 points and shoot up the table.
Listen to me. You see the game last week?
Huh?
They just give the ball. It's like a high school team. They just give the ball and give it to the next team last week.
Yeah. But again, I'm not making excuses for the coach, right? But you got Callum Chambers and Rob Holding as the centre backs. You have Said Kolasinac, who is basically on his way out the club. So there are a lot of things going on. After international break, beat up Norwich, beat up some other team and climb at the table.
No,
yeah. Who can beat Norwich because you know what? Norwich is 19 and we're 28.
And who's gonna replace him with that jokey team there? The job is not appealable.
Sammy, the team is not that bad.
The team is horrible.
So compare Arsenal midfield to Manchester United midfield.
Which Arsenal midfield? Who in the midfield? Arsenal.
Do Arsenal have a midfield?
No. Let's put Joe.
No, I'm being serious.
Besides Paul Pogba, right? Which other midfielder Manchester United has?
That's what I'm saying. They have a midfielder.
I like McTominay.
Boy, Thomas Partey big.
Partey injured. So he can't come.
Thomas Partey.
Exactly.
Thomas Partey. Injured. But no, we're talking about but what they have. So you can't be the coach too much. So Arsenal, right? Arsenal. Just to Shane's point, right? Arsenal are injured players. So to be talking about Arsenal, look at you have Lacazette, Aubameyang, Thomas Partey out. Then you see Martin Odegaard play. The boy just reached. Ben White injured. So don't be judging that so hard. Same how United only needs 8 games. Give Mikel 8 to 10 games to get his
I given everybody the 8 games. That's me.
Man, Arsenal have some youth, man. They are on the 23 better than a lot of these guys. They 23. You see how the 23.
Sammy.
Better than who?
Sammy.
When who play on the big team?
Sammy. The team that they brought up recently, I could agree with that because big players injured. So there's some. Look at Cedric, Kolasinac, Chambers. It shouldn't be on the field. On the back line I played last time, I think probably only Tierney you would pick on a top team.
Yeah,
or a back 5. Then they come in midfield. They had Shaka, Odegaard, and
I wonder when they go in the first game.
Huh?
I think Arsenal are going down, honestly.
They're not going down, man. They're crazy.
Arsenal will never get relegated. They never get relegated.
You think it's a 10-game season, Sammy? We talking about?
Sammy, I saw a meme, right? The player them by every team we go to, they're relegated, you know.
Last,
The Chatty man.
No. Aaron Ramsdale.
Ramsdale. Every team Ramsdale going on. Get ready to
see, but this is the thing, right? And this is why you can't listen to Sky Sports and a lot of those pundits because they're too reactionary. Because even look at Barcelona, right? People say what Barcelona doing.
Them is Patrick exports.
People say what Barcelona doing is crazy, right? But what Barcelona did, Barcelona got rid of the high. What getting rid of those high wage earners and those older men, the ball go move more. The system go work.
Yeah, brother.
Yo,
we are to Barcelona, that's my side.
Listen to me, man.
We are to Barcelona, I give you my opinion.
My friend, when they reach in the Champions League, you know, easy, you know.
Yeah, but brother, Sammy.
When you
have Ansu Fati, Memphis, you have De Jong in midfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have who the boy who do attack arrest. Pedri, right? The system will work.
Okay.
Trust me, the system will work.
Brother, we got rebuild.
So that's what I'm with Arteta, right? You have Lukanga to play midfield, the young Belgium. You have Saka, who's not up to speed as yet after coming from the World Cup. Pepe was sick. Aubameyang coming back.
How can I
excuse Ben White. You know, not excuses, it's facts.
Your virgin. Okay. What is your PayPal or your Zelle or whatever financial transfer you have? Because I can bet you 2 bills right now.
That what?
That Arsenal is going down.
Yeah, little bit. Yo, Scrambler. Scrambler. Small money, man. $500. $500.
Okay.
Scrambler. Yeah, $500. Not a small bit.
Toilet paper. Okay, Scrambler.
What?
I might bet.
I would just listen to me.
What?
I would just switch from Arsenal
toilet paper.
Like 8 years ago. I just switched from Arsenal. I used to like Arsenal a long time when
you see,
Sammy, you
can't switch. You can't switch. No switch thing.
Yeah, whatever jokey coaches there, we can't switch.
Every team that play good.
That's his team.
Yo, I've been a Man U fan since I was 9, and I never stopped.
Oh, unfortunate.
Fellas, I gotta go. Thanks for the argument. I'm coming with
Patrick, before you go, Patrick, before you go.
I gotta go.
What going on with the team? Tell us what your experience now with the team.
We gotta build a team for next year, man. We need players. The boy didn't come through for me, so I stuck.
Okay.
If you look at the stats,
yeah.
My 3 games I played with 10 players.
Wow.
Yeah, look at the stats today. But here's the improvement. The first team we played, we hosted Jacksonville. They beat us 7-0. We played Jacksonville last night in Jacksonville. Same team. We got 10. They have about 30 players. They beat us 2-0.
Wow.
So the team is improving, but we need help, man. What happens is anytime
tell Mokri go look you up.
Yeah, anytime a coach leaves, especially the way college is set up now, Sammy, you know of the transfer portal, right?
Yeah.
A student could just say they want to transfer, and in 2 days, the institution must put them on that transfer portal, and they're gone. Right. So once the coach here was let go, the girls that she recruited and girls who were here left.
But I don't understand why they left.
The team has to be rebuilt.
Did she get a new job?
Huh?
Did she get a new job?
I don't know where she is, man.
Because usually, you know.
They didn't come. They didn't wait to see who the next coach was going to be because they probably.
But no. Usually, you don't let go coach in the last month.
Something happened. I ain't asking questions. I don't want to know.
Right.
I'm just gonna.
I just thought that maybe she got a new job or something like that. Usually.
No, she was let go. She was let go.
But it's good. It's good in the sense.
That's not my business. I got a chance to build a Division 1 program.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know the politics and the dynamics that happened before I got here. So I'm staying out of that.
Patrick,
I learned my lesson with all that kind of stuff.
so
I
is it
just try to do what I could do with the program.
is it
It'll be fine.
how many white players do you have in that school? A lot of white players?
We got like 2 girls from Brazil and 1 from Holland. About three of them.
Man, let me tell you something.
But here's something that I realized too. The European girls, they can't stand up to the heat, especially down in the south.
Wow.
They cannot. They overhype. We played a game in 90-degree weather here because it's been 90 degrees almost every day.
Yeah.
And 2 of them couldn't even finish the game.
Wow. Well, Patrick, we have preseason.
No, I ain't complaining. I'm taking my legs because I build a program.
Patrick, we had preseason maybe 2-3 weeks ago in Connecticut.
Who's we?
In Connecticut, 45 girls.
Which school is this?
No, this is just the best kids in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
And
so when you have a showcase, invite me.
All of them complete Division 1. All of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I was so blown away with the train hard.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 hours, Patrick, practice 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, what happens is after the season, I'm going to do a lot of recruiting. I'll be in New York for Christmas, and then I come back to South Carolina, and then I'll be here in the spring. And there are a lot of showcases around that I have to attend.
How many scholarships you have?
I got some decent scholarships, man.
Like 14?
At least 7 full. The NC allows you 14, but this is this is not a soccer school. This is in the deep south, man. This is football.
Okay.
So, but I can make it work. That's the thing. I can make it work, and I have to get quite a few of the local girls will help, because if they're local, you don't have to give much.
Yeah, right.
In state, and it's an HBCU school sponsored. It's a state school, so it's not that expensive.
What's it cost?
Look, 22,000 is a full scholarship. It's very expensive. Yeah. 32,000 is a full scholarship.
That's not a lot in summer.
Yeah, compared to private schools,
I mean,
you're talking about $50,000-$60,000, man.
Exactly. So
yeah.
When you give somebody a $40,000 scholarship and they have to look for another 20, no, it's a big problem.
But it takes time. But this is what happens, when coaches when there's a coaching change like this, people move around, they move on, and especially
the first person
it makes it easy to transfer. That transfer portal, you just have to put yourself on there, and schools pick you up, and that's what.
Patrick, what's your school?
South Carolina State University.
South Carolina State. Patrick, I'm gonna link you offline because there's a girl who played ECNL.
All the way. She did what?
She played ECNL for McLean in Virginia, and Howard offered a scholarship, but they didn't offer enough. But Maryland gave her academic scholarship, and she's trying to go there, but it has stumbling block with some money too. That this girl, her mom is Nigerian.
How good is she?
Left-footed baller. Baller.
Patrick.
So give me her information more.
You could bring him right now.
You can bring it in the spring. It's too late now. You can bring it in the spring.
You mean
February.
Last week?
Our school started already, and today was the last day. Today's the ad drop day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she 2003. She played ECNL. She's 2003, so she's 18 this year. She played ECNL for about 3 or 4 years. Left-footed, man, can hit the ball.
Did she go to Howard?
No, she started Maryland. She should be starting Maryland this fall, because Howard didn't offer enough money, so she didn't take Howard's offer.
Yeah,
Maryland offered her because she's very smart. So they offered her academic and to live in the honors dorms in Maryland, but she still needs a little bit of money. So I know.
So here's the deal. I can't talk to her. But if she wants, she could get permission from her school.
I can talk to her.
To speak to her. I can't talk to her. So what you got to do is, if you want, just tell her to check out the school.
Patrick, put your number in the chat. Patrick, put your number in the chat. Let me see. Put your number in the chat.
You could take my number, man. You're listening, right?
Hold on, Patrick. Hold on. Let me get your number.
let me talk a different topic now. You see what happened in St. Kitts? How great is that?
What happened in St. Kitts?
You have a new president, the youth man who played in MLS for all these years.
Who?
Atiba.
Atiba is president. When is the president?
President.
Or the Football Association?
President of the Football Association.
Okay, good. Yeah, I know Atiba was a good.
So this is what I want. This is what I really want from our whole say. But you know.
Tell me 1 second. Patrick, tell me number.
516.
I just think that
Wait, Sammy, wait. 516 426
426
6096.
You got long number, man.
Yeah, I still do, you know, because I'm not even completely set up here yet. I'm still using my long and my thing. She could go on the website and she'll get my number and my email address.
And the school is South Carolina State?
Yes, it's an HBCU school. Like Howard.
Okay. All right. I got it.
In fact, eventually I'm going to put Howard on the schedule. You know, we were in Virginia last weekend to play Hampton University.
Okay.
That's one HBCU school. In October, we're going to go all the way up to Delaware State.
Well, that's first wing.
Patrick, are any of these televised? Is there any way to, like, are they on YouTube?
We're not
like
televising
or something?
But
Not all games, but
if it can be Delaware,
teams do it. Jacksonville, I know, did it. And some of the teams, you just have to look at our schedule and see which teams will
live stream.
On.
Patrick, if it can't be Delaware, you know they go if it can't be Delaware.
Mohan, you have enough. Mohan, what's her name? What's the lady's name?
Precious.
Patrick.
Precious.
Patrick.
I can hear you, Mohan, you know.
Patrick.
Her name is Precious. Precious. As in
Precious?
Well, as in Precious.
And what's the last name?
Ogu. OGU. She's Nigerian. OGU.
Precious.
Yeah. Yeah. OGU. Wasn't G as in girl.
Right. Yeah, the Nigerians have these names, you know.
Yeah. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Huh?
I'll text her now, but I'll talk to her tomorrow. It's late now, so
go look at the website and what.
Guys, you sure you want them to go to that website, Patrick?
Yeah.
Patrick, we talk tomorrow.
You could go. Mohan.
Yeah.
So I could talk to her through you. You know?
Mohan.
Okay.
But I can't talk to her directly.
Mohan,
Hi.
trust me. I'm very good at recruiting, my friend. Sometimes you have to stay away from that website because when they go to the website and they see 0 wins, they see, they score a goal all season. I mean, them guys ain't want to go there.
That's not true, Sammy. The smart ones that want to come and make it better.
No.
That's the challenge.
I'm telling you.
No. All they have to do is look at the history of the school. They'll see there's a coaching change. A lot of people contacted me already. But they see it's a coaching change and they understand that.
Patrick, you have enough.
That don't stop to give us some.
No, listen, Patrick. You have enough time. There's a lot of players out there. You have enough time.
I know there's a lot of players out there.
Don't. You have enough time.
I wonder if Tian have a ball of them there for me. Wait. Tian's still there, he gone in the bathroom probably.
No, he listen to you. Loud and clear.
Because I think he's under 17 or under 20 going somewhere soon, right?
Yeah, September.
How come he answered?
Can take all of them.
No, I only on one good one.
Which one?
I don't know. He should know. Seriously, he should. What's his name is doing well at Ranger? Dappy. Dappy is doing really well.
He scored?
I don't know if he scored, but the team is doing well. The coach says he's very pleased with him.
Patrick.
He's doing well. So if Tian have a young lady, I'd be glad to take a look at a young lady. Yeah.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Rangers are like a school on there, Patrick.
Yeah, that's where you start, Sammy. You start.
Well, no, I just want to let you know. I mean, when I look,
well, there you move on.
When I look at the community colleges, and the ranking and stuff like that, I can't see Ranger down.
That's not the point. Is if you get a recommendation, he gets into the combine, and coaches come and see him. The coaches know that all the good players are not in the top schools.
But no, his objective is to follow Zeno and Kyle, get to a Division 1 school, one of the top Division 1 schools.
Yeah, but Zeno didn't go to a Division 1 school.
Well, I mean, because of technicality, really, you know.
Those guys just don't, yeah. Yes, Tamlin.
If you're taking the under 17 girls, make sure you take the coaching staff.
Well, I don't, the under 17s are probably won't be ready for another year or two because, 18 years old is
I think make sure you take the coaching staff too.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
I just take them and give them a little more experience.
No, they're in good hands.
Who coaches the under 17?
You have the teacher here, they're in good hands. Don't worry about that.
Who coaches the under 17?
They're in good hands now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd like to see the under 22. Well, the under 20 tournament is in Costa Rica next spring, So I'll be there for that. The qualifying stats, I think, late this year, but the final tournament is in Costa Rica in the spring. Because 2 years ago, I was in Dominican Republic watching them. They had some fine players, Some kids had some good players, so did Guyana. And Haiti had some excellent players there.
Haiti.
St. Vincent wasn't there. I don't know why, but maybe they'll be there this time.
Who's that? Who?
I said St. Vincent wasn't there when I was in Dominican Republic in 19. So
well, we just gotta,
Huh?
One step at a time,
Yeah.
Patrick, you looking for an assistant or?
Eventually, and it has to be a lady too. Yeah, but I'm not gonna hire assistant now until next year because the season is like we're approaching the mid-season, and
you have to hire assistant now because you have to. Patrick, let me tell you something now.
See, I didn't want me now, so I have to look outside.
When I was coaching, Patrick, I think at one time, we had it was 6 and something. Man, means I want to go practice. I just want to go to recruit.
Who's that? It's Francis?
Yeah, there's one time, we was 6 and something, 6 and 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just want to go out and recruit because, it's tough. It's just got to get
But that's the challenge, that's the challenge in the game. It's the process, It's going and taking a team like I have now or somebody's team and just developing it, and making it happen. That's the challenge and that's the satisfaction in coaching.
No, I think, when you go into college, right, you have to know where you're getting your core players from.
Yeah.
It's very important, you establish who are the guys I trust in recruiting? Who going to send me players year after year after year?
A lot of fellas, contacted me, A lot of them fellas live in Florida and some in Georgia. They heard and they contacted me. You know them guys.
And there's no reason why you can't. I think you can rebuild that program, man.
Oh, yeah,
I really.
Yeah, man.
That guy in Canada, he's a tremendous source. I'm not.
Yeah, he called me. He said he didn't have anybody at the time, but I'm gonna keep in touch with him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, some of the players that he said he sent different places. He sent, like in South Florida and all these places he sent. So
man,
I think, I work with him.
I saw this girl, a left back, who's in Connecticut. I think she probably is a sophomore now. Patrick, overlap. I mean, oh my God. I mean, Crystal Dunn. I don't think Crystal Dunn was that good when she was with us at Hawaii. Crystal Dunn who played for the US.
Right. She was in what's his name team, right?
Paul.
Pat, right? Pat. It's not Riley? Paul,
yeah,
right? Paul Riley. Paul.
Yeah, she started with them. But I'm saying, at this age, a sophomore in high school, and she loved to come forward. She just loved to overlap.
Who's this girl?
This is black girl from Connecticut. I think she's going to a private school up here, So there's so many players in Connecticut, there's so many players.
So many players all over, man. The players all over.
Patrick, let me tell you something, man. These girls, they have the second best team, probably, in New York. The only Sosa is probably better than they are. But in the East, they're that good. Trust me, man. They're very, 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 very good.
Yeah,
but
man. Yeah.
They want to go to those girls want to go to the top schools, Villanova and all them big schools, and but everybody can't go to the big schools.
I like players. I talk to them. I interview girls. I like play guys like. I like the girls who like to accept the challenge. I don't want the ones who just want to jump on a top team already. I want to see my team. Okay, we 0-3. I'm gonna come there and I'm gonna make a difference in this team. That's the mentality I want, and that's the mentality I have on my team. I talk to the girls. Those guys beat us 7-0 our first game, and last night they couldn't even muster 2 goals against us. We played with 10 and they had like the full squad 30. Yeah. Hampton beat me 5-0 too, but it was, we had injuries. We played with 9 players, but that's the deal, That's what happens. That's what happens when you have a coaching change just before the season starts.
That's be tough, yeah.
This all happened quick, so we'll see, man. We'll see. And I think.
Well, you have a history of turning around,
Yeah, man.
You have a history of turning around these teams.
Yeah. Like
Plus,
Mohan, if you dare call me, man, call me. I'm interested in this young lady. I could work with her.
With the Zoom, everybody improve from Zoom,
Mohan, you say she has what's her GPA? She has an honor scholarship.
Yes, from Maryland. She's bright. She turned down the soccer scholarship for an academic scholarship.
And what position does she play? What position?
She's a lefty. She could play as a Roman striker. She could play up top. She could play on either wing.
So here's the deal. Here's what happened. When if she has better than a 3.5, she can get an honors scholarship to South Carolina, and I can chip in the rest, and she won't be playing anything.
And there's a girl
in, quite a few girls like that.
There's a girl in St. Kitts.
Let her know that.
Yeah.
She called me up and look at the school. The only thing is it's hot down there. Here, we train at 6:30 in the morning. Can't
train the girl Nigerian.
Huh?
Nigerian.
Exactly, I know, but one of the reasons, apparently, one of the reasons too is the girls.
This heat to the Patrick. Huh? This heat. You're not this in the summertime. She used to the heat, man. She run all the summer.
I know. But what I'm saying is too, it's not only that too, but that's the time when I have everybody in training because the schedules are so scattered, 6:30, 7 o'clock is the best time for us to train. So
that's true.
Train, and then the girls have the rest of the day to do whatever they got to do. So we train at 6:30 every morning.
No, it's a good time.
But tell her what I say. She got a better than 3.0. She get an honor scholarship. She could look up what the tuition costs for the school. It's an HBCU school, just like Howard. A lot of tradition, and we're building the program. And I'll be glad to have her in February. If she's interested, she just got to tell them she's transferring. She can, and your sister Mohan, tell her I know she can help us. She could be a great player here. She can make a name for herself here.
Oh, no, for sure.
Is it a liberal arts school?
It is. If you go to the website, man, the school is it's a comprehensive university. Bachelor's, master's, and PhDs. It's an excellent school. It's a big school too. So,
I wish you all the best there, Peter.
Peter, you keep changing my name, Vicky.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Vicky,
I used to call you Peter at the beginning. I don't know where that came from.
Vicky, you got my book.
It's because we haven't heard you in so long.
Mohana needs some female players. Any female players?
Sorry, Patrick.
Yeah.
For which team?
St. Vincent.
Yeah, I asked him.
When you get Royal granddaughter. We have Royal granddaughter. Number 9. She born 2006 October. That's my 9. All I have nothing like that. All I have nothing like that long so. Not like that. That's my 9 right there so.
You see that I'm saying? I tell you what players do. You tell them
the
The 1 9. I have a 9 for you. I have Vinci 9 for you.
What Tiana to do? Tiana to focus on developing the women. The women.
Grandfather, our father.
Tian, Roy Austin. You know Roy Austin?
Go again.
Huh?
No, I don't know them, sir.
Roy Austin, Vinci legend. Like, tell Patrick, tell him who you are.
Mohan, you see how we have to teach him? And he don't listen to us. Don't listen.
That Vinci legend, good boy. Legend.
Let me tell him a few things about Roy Austin now. He's one of the captains. Roy Austin is the one who gave Woody Boucher his chance to play international football. Roy was the captain of the Eagles, coming out the grammar school captain. Captain Island Side, captain of the grammar school. When they left grammar school, Roy Hudson was part of the Bridge Boys with John Horn and
So wait, you have a daughter who play? Wait, you have a daughter?
One daughter.
Okay.
Is what's his name, uncle? It's John Hines. It's John Hines' uncle. John Hines' uncle.
All in listening, man. Daddy thing, but let's say all this. I asked if his grandparents, you know,
Yeah, she want to qualify.
She ain't qualified, but you are going to give me stories, so I just wait.
Yeah, I have a cousin who's a strike for Clark University. My uncle born Vinci, so she qualified.
Okay.
So Tian, why grandparents got qualified?
K clause Seki.
Jesus Christ.
Carl Ralph.
Lord of mercy. Lord help us.
Shut up.
So Mohana, depending on you to give me a call, right?
For sure. Regardless of what, I'll call you tomorrow.
After me.
Yeah, and just tell her that she could get on a scholarship. I'll take up the rest, and she should just go ahead and apply, send in an official transcript, do all that online, and do it right away.
Shut up.
You know?
Yes, please.
Did you study plastic?
I did not, because I called my aunt and I speak to them, and they're not interested. They're trying to get the call up for England.
Okay, let it wait.
Yeah, I understand.
Here's something else. How the girls look, Tian? How the older girls look? You help out?
I say look when expectation.
They just start trade yesterday.
So?
I know who girls you talking about. Shut up. On the 20 talking about national team. I don't.
The national team. Shut up.
It started yesterday.
It doesn't matter. First practice.
A few of them showed up yesterday.
Where are they training?
Europe afternoon.
Shut up. You might have to go back to them all.
So are they going to try to qualify for the U20s, CONCACAF U20s?
Yeah, they're playing. They're leaving for the 11th.
Right.
Play on the 13th and the 16th. 14th and the 15th.
Whose group they in?
Top group.
With who?
That's the U20 they're talking about, Sammy.
No, it's
U20. I'm talking about the U20.
Yeah,
Haiti's U20 is a giant side. Haiti's one of the best teams, always with the girls.
Hey, did you guys look at the U14?
Some of the games.
I really have to give it to Grenada. That they're really trying.
Bermuda, Dominica drop out. Bermuda and USVA.
Bermuda and USVA?
Football easy.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to me.
Anything is possible. You just gotta train the girls properly.
No, we gotta start in the schools. We have to go out and recruit players who can run.
Yeah, but Sammy, if you have players now, you have to deal with what you have now.
No, you don't have to.
What do you mean you don't have to? You can't forget them. You guys have all this thing, but you have to go. You deal with what you have now. You have a tournament going on. You can't forget about them and go look down the road. What are you gonna do with the girls now?
Patrick, this is the problem. When you start in a program from scratch,
Sammy, yes, you have players now. You have
they're not.
So you're giving up on them? You say you're giving up on them?
No, they're the one who come to the practice. But
Sammy, I'm talking about the under 20 team that they're training now.
We're just under 20, under 30, under 20, it's the same thing. You have to go out from small and start to recruit these players who can run and stuff like that.
Sammy, I ain't talking about what they got.
This again, boy.
If you have a team now, you can't forget them. You gotta work with what you have.
You can go through this again. Nah.
Yeah, and sidetrack. What is on the agenda for this weekend?
This weekend? I don't picture 4 games already.
Yeah, you started playing again?
Yeah.
What division?
So we have System 3 versus Jebel versus System 3. And on Sunday we have Avenue versus Sand. All of those are forced to be on the 20th, and then other 3 games of Premier.
So no youth games?
Not yet. Hopefully by next week.
So when they under 17?
Nobody really confirming nothing. Like nobody ain't saying yes they're playing or whatever. So I can't picture it.
And
Jazz gonna reach out to you?
No, if you say yeah, you're able to get it.
That mean
well true.
That mean they're bringing a $20 for the referee.
So let me ask Tian. Tian, is your Gen Sec resigning or resign?
You gone already?
Huh?
You gone?
Resign already?
You must ask Alexander and Sam then. The man that
you should know.
I should know. I agree. I should know. But them guys have to think pressure off the press. I don't know. Them just know before me.
So who did they point? Who did they point at the Gen?
I don't know. They been gave me a name the other day. Then they come back the next week and say, nah, he ain't getting that. So I can't tell you.
Patrick, when they go down there to Havana.
Huh?
Yeah, they go.
You're going out to the Gen Tech, Sammy?
When they go down there.
Would never happen.
No, I just think that you see when you replace someone, right? And they show the inexperience of some of these people who run these, associations. When you get rid of someone, you have to have someone in place to come in and take the job,
What's his name? Has experience. What's his name? He worked with Leacock a long time ago.
Who's that?
You know him. They know him.
Freddie. Nobody want Freddie. They don't want Freddie there.
Freddie.
They want Freddie. Freddie.
Why you laugh, Tian?
He can't put you.
Daddy name Sammy them bring 2 weeks.
Man, we thought that our source, right? Our source say Freddie, right?
I'm not Freddie because I know he's been, ever since I've been around.
No, and the reason why, okay,
he was wrong with Leacock and what happened with them and so forth.
No, but he gonna mash up football. He gonna mash up the whole thing.
So Sammy, he gone for you the Gen Sec?
No,
he gone for you?
He don't be wrong. He don't be wrong in the office. It's like
I heard he's resigning or
he done. He on vacation leave now, so his vacation leave will take up to when he's done.
So he's used up his vacation leave and he's gone. Right.
Yeah.
But me get to understand that the executive not accepting the resignation.
You can't accept resignation.
They want him
I get to understand that. That's why he. I tell you why he.
If they don't want to accept it, the man know with it.
Shut
Hey.
They tell the man he make a lot of mistakes.
They made me have meeting today. It happened. What many meetings, Sammy?
It's a long time. I mean,
they may have meeting with him today, Sammy. What happened?
Chanel, this thing done long time.
They had a meeting scheduled for today with the man. What happened? Tell me what happened. Alexander, tell me now.
When you get fired, Chanel, from a job.
You go get fired and he resign.
Well, whatever, you resign, you get fired, you don't want to be wrong.
Alexander Sammy, give with the scoop. Give him a man.
Sammy is not really the scoop, man. Alexander.
Well, I call it a name, but he not answer.
Alexander's the Sammy the scoop.
My source. I stop you as a source. Yeah, bogus. Bogus is too. Yeah, two words. Bogus on what? What the next word is?
Mama guy.
You mama guy, me man. So,
Alexander, why you answering?
Tian so young. I know what mama guy mean.
Boys, I say mama guy and hear me now say mama guy is
he tried to be about because I know all the legends from way back and I tell him he better than who he have now. Do you know what mama guy mean? You know what lineman mean?
Nah, I know that neither.
You know what Jen Boots? You know about Jen Boots?
I know Panapan neither. I know I
You think he's a foreigner or what?
Hey, Sammy, you know about the Terrelin short when you have the women the women painted on your t-shirt you put
the fathers made them thing. The fathers made them.
Do you know about them things?
Wait, Sammy.
Sammy asked Tian, do you have the shoes?
resignation went in.
You lie.
Tell me who
You
they
lie.
be.
No.
We hear two other resignation letter went in from.
Shannon, no.
Tell me now.
No.
Me have to ask.
Shannon, Shannon, you have something, man. No.
Tell me,
No,
Alexander, Ale, tell me the man.
No.
And this is what I was wanting.
Mohan, tell me your number. I need more.
This is what I was wanting, Tian. This is what I was wanting, Tian, about.
Tell me, Mohan.
I'm texting, Patrick, I just text you.
You just